Hello, you guys. Uh-oh. I just muted LFT. This is no way to start the stream. This is no way to start the stream when you already.
I'm going home. I'm going home. Screw this.
Enough of this. I've had enough already. I quit. Hi, you guys. Welcome. Oh my gosh.
Hold on. I'm paying attention in 1 second. I'm eating one more piece of sushi. And then
This is not the time for that, by the way.
I know.
You have guests in your house.
I know. Hey, y'all.
First of all, we wanted to welcome you here. Thank you so much for being here. This is so nice. I understand that Brittany sent everyone over. We want to send a special thank you for that. That's really kind of you guys to come over. We shout out, first of all, let me just say the wolf is in the house. So there will be no silliness because the wolf will take care of business. I love you, Wolfie. Thank you for being here tonight. Ms. Vixen, Aries. Is it Cabrezi or Cabrese? Which one is it? Because I always see you and I never know how to say it. Vanessa, thank you guys so much for being here. Jessica, I love that name. Lady Tinkerbell. City Girls Glam. NorCal Jim, how are you? Redfield. Oh my God, you guys, this is so nice. Nay. Nay's in the house.
Watch me, Nay.
Mallory, hi. Hold on, Mallory's here. Right. Let me bring her up. Hi, Mallory.
Hey.
Welcome to Decipher.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm the one that's on time from our duo, so.
Yeah.
We know. we know how this works. Carolina Moon, oh my God, you guys, thank you so much for being here.
Okay.
Hold on. Now you said that, but look what just happened. I think we spoke too soon. Hold on. Now
watch us. Someone's going to get kicked off. Wait for it.
It's going to be me because I have too many of me up here.
I was wondering.
Well, no. Hold on. Let me try this.
This is going to. We'll see y'all in a little bit once we get kicked off. This is.
So can you hear me here if I speak?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the one. Okay, good. All right, I needed one's for sharing, one's for caring. Let me see here.
Hold on, I'm switching to the computer as well. 1 second. I'm going to see. Wait, first of all, I'll enter studio first.
Hi, Brittany. Welcome.
Hey.
Thank you for being here.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Good. How are you?
Hold on.
Good. I love your background. It's pretty.
Okay, so let's talk about my background. My background is artwork, original artwork done by Punksy.
Oh.
Is that not the coolest?
That is cool. That's beautiful.
I know. I love her artwork. She does
Wait,
amazing.
who's that by?
Punksy.
Oh, Punksy. That's so pretty. I love her so much. She's so sweet. That is beautiful.
Amazing. She is amazing. I know. It's my favorite. And people think it's candy canes. People think it's blood, whatever. I don't give a shit what you think. I love it. My Punksy made it. It stays. Jeanne will be joining us. And this is an open panel, so we welcome anybody and everybody who wants to talk about Murdaugh with us tonight. We're going to show you some of our work. Forgive me for not saying hello to everyone and calling each name out. I want to say hello to Jeanne because she is coming up. Crazy Mama, my best friend. I love you so much. Punksy, I got your message and we will be discussing things later. I love you. But I really want to thank you guys for sending friends over. That was, well, I understand. That was really unexpected and lovely. I do appreciate that. I'm also going to I'm going to do some house cleaning really quick, if you guys don't mind.
Of course, go ahead.
So a couple things have happened in the last couple of days. Okay. So I'm getting messages right and left just as I go live. I had invited Teresa, but she's unfortunately not going to be here with us tonight. Just got a message from her. She's not feeling great. So everybody send some love Teresa's way and tell her we hope she feels better. So I have made a decision here at Decipher with my partner in true crime, and we've decided to, drum roll please, we are monetized. After 2 years, we finally got monetized. Not we didn't get monetized, we finally decided to be monetized. So if you're so inclined, we don't have our memberships up yet, but if you'd like to say something nice to us or what have you, you're more than welcome. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know how I feel about this yet. I'm still new to money on YouTube, so please forgive me. This is not a dig at anyone. This is me just putting it raw out there. I don't know how I feel about this, but I will tell you that I feel less guilty talking about Murdaugh and making a buck than I do anything else. It's just the first time we've ever done it. So it is what it is. And oh my God. And Crazy Mama, of course, is the first one. Thank you, Crazy Mama. Hell yeah, my bitches. Hell yeah to you. You got us here, sister. So thank you very much for that. That's really kind. That was our first super chat ever. That's pretty damn cool. And it came from her. Secondly, I'm going to address the elephant in the room, which is, I know that there has been disagreements between other creators and us. And for the night, we're putting all bullshit aside and we're just going to talk about Murdaugh. We're just going to true crime this bitch right out. We're going to show you some things and we're going to ask some questions. And we're really hoping that, hi, criminality. Nate, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Stop. This is so sweet. Everything's aside for the evening. We just want to talk true crime. I'm going to tell you what I told Brittany earlier today when we had a very brief conversation, and that was the trauma community is a dumpster fire as far as I'm concerned. And I just want to focus on true crime and stay over here. And anyone that wants to join us, we love. We welcome, and we want to work on true crime. And there's so many amazing solid true crime creators. Jeanne, oh my God, Punksy, thank you so much. We have to keep Punksy's pretzel collection going. There's so many, Teresa, Jeanne, Brittany has worked very hard to come from a difficult place into the true crime community and has been very successful. There's many, many, many of us here. I'm going to bring Jeanne up while I'm talking about her. Oh, and LFT is here too. Cool. The gang's all here.
Wow,
hi,
we've been
ladies.
back there for a minute.
I'm sorry, I was running my trap. So we wanted to say that actually it's pretty funny because we have always called Jeanne NATO. Like she's the voice of reason. She kind of gets people together. Jameson, thank you very much. We secretly call her NATO. Like she's NATO. She calms people down. She's the voice of reason, whatever. So last night she was doing her live, which I really want to encourage you guys to go back and watch Jeanne live from last night. It was really, really, really good.
Mhm.
There was a lot of information in there, and they talked about doing a spreadsheet. And we were like, "Hey guys, we have the spreadsheet. We don't mind sharing it." And Brittany said, "Oh, I kind of like to see it." And Jen Lou said, "I mean, I've seen it, but I kind of want to see it again." So this is why we're doing this. This is a continuation of Jen Lou's thing last night. Criminality, thank you so much.
Because I don't even want to talk. I don't even want to talk about that right now. That's a really hard.
She's breaking up with them because I haven't actually told her what happens because I don't want to freak out the general public on that, but those are so gross. I don't want to talk about it.
Stop it. Once on in, you watch me like eat them just right flat out in front of you the whole time you're going.
I have.
So gross, but
it is so gross.
You
Buffy, welcome.
Pretty bad germs and funguses out of that, but I'm not going to tell you till you see it in someone's chat.
Nope, because I let other people break that news to you. I'm a good friend like that. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. This is so weird to me, and I'm so incredibly grateful. To be honest with you tonight, these super chats are going to a very special cause, and Nay knows the cause, but she's the only one who knows, and we're going to leave it like that for right now until later because I'm going to get in big trouble if I say anything. But one of our Decipher girls is having a rough go and has to travel, and so we want to make sure that while she's gone, her family's well taken care of with meals and things like that. So that's what these super chats are going for. They are going for taking care of one of our own while she's going through a little bit of a rough time. So thank you very much for your kindness and your generosity. I'm very grateful. Now, who wants to talk Murdaugh? Who wants to get into the shit show of a case?
I do, because ever since y'all started talking about doing the breakdown last night, I wish you could have seen my face. I was like, oh my God, don't do it. We did it. We already did it. Y'all don't need to do it, but let's all talk through it. I want to see if we've missed anything, or what do y'all think? I don't know. I have so many questions.
Well, you guys talked about doing a minute by minute, and I was like, I mean, yeah, you do what you want, but we have it. We can share it with you. Like, we're totally down. LFT did all this work on it, so we wanted to make sure that you guys get a gander at her work. She's been working on this for a solid year, probably. Well, actually,
not like the spreadsheet, just following.
The spreadsheet's only been like a week and a half.
No,
that's true. But the rest of it, she's been very invested in this, and I have not. And I just became obsessed recently because of the coverage. So let's do it. Jen Lou, welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Hi. Sorry, I had to come in on my phone. I didn't want to. I wanted to come in on my computer, but it decided, oh, hey, guess what? Update.
I hate
rude.
That.
So rude.
Serious. Thank you very much for your kindness. I appreciate that. Brittany, are these your friends coming through here? Is that what?
Yeah.
This is amazing. Wow, what a community you built. Nice. Way to go, sister. Way to go.
Thank you, and congratulations on your monetization. I'm glad you finally did it.
See, Mom,
I've been telling you.
Thank you. It's hard. It's weird.
Don't feel bad about it. You put a lot of work into what you do, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know why you're doing it and where your heart's at with it, and that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Well,
the people who know, don't sweat it. You guys do put a lot of work in it.
Well, you're about to see some of the work, and I hope that what has been donated tonight will prove to you that we don't screw around. We're really trying here. We're trying to do our best. And we've learned from some incredible ladies. So, yeah. Anywho, where do you guys want to start? Where do you want you guys? where do you want to see the timesheet first? Do you want to talk about financials? How do you want to do this? Dealers, you can tell us.
Yeah.
What do you feel comfortable? You want to see the spreadsheet first and kind of look at it and go through it?
Yeah, I'd love to see the spreadsheet.
Okay.
Okay.
So
now I'm also like Britt, have the North Carolina internet. So sometimes if it gets a little wonky, y'all just tell me if it's like glitching.
You're good. We're used to it.
Y'all won't be surprised at all. So.
Oh, I heard that, Mallory. I heard that.
Fred, thank you.
Yeah,
somebody's robotic.
Oh God, is it me?
No, but LFT, are you sharing a tab or are you sharing your whole computer?
I've got my whole screen sharing.
Don't do that. That's what pulls your bandwidth. Just open up whatever it is that you have pulled, just a tab, and choose to share the tab. Don't share your whole computer or your whole screen.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna
That'll
stop
help
sharing
you.
for a second.
I'll remove.
Sorry, give me a second.
This would have been a good tip earlier.
Wolfie on it, thank you.
If I would have said something earlier instead of right when you start. You see? You see?
So I could do just the because I was like,
yes.
All right,
yes.
I'm on it.
This keeps you also, Brittany, whenever you get to start sharing again, this keeps you also from accidentally sharing something you don't want to share.
I use the tab and the window ones for different things. So
get the heck out of town. I did not know to do a window.
Are you good?
I can't do the I don't ever share my whole computer or my whole screen. Only myself. Ever.
Nope.
Well, what if you click wrong?
Nope. I'm gonna have to do mine. Yours.
All my secrets would be out there.
Right. See?
Nope. Can't do it. No, we're not sharing. I'm gonna do it.
Why?
Because I said so. Hang on. I don't have the stuff that you have. I'm just showing the spreadsheet. You were showing the.
Well, I hadn't clicked on the right tab yet. My tab, I'm still on the right.
Okay, which tab do you want to? I'm going to share it.
You're not even on the right document one. That's not the updated one.
Okay, well, I'll do that. In the meantime, you start talking. I'm going to go pull it up.
Okay, well, it's a digital activity. So we broke it down, and it's the 211 one. It's in the drive.
I got it. It's just not 211. It's not showing up for me. 28 is the last one showing up for me.
Refresh it.
So, if you guys saw this setup I got going right now,
I don't Everyone's
I got it now. It's like NASA in here. I have more screen. I'm using my husband's office. I have more screens than I should be using, and it has overwhelmed me. Okay. So now, share screen. Murdaugh to 11, and you want the digital.
That's what I'm looking at.
All right, digital activity. I got you, girl. How about this? Is that better? Can you guys even see? Dismiss.
Make it bigger because it's cutting off on the far right.
I can do whatever you ask of me.
Or is that just for me? I don't know what everyone else is seeing.
How about that? Is that any better?
No.
Really?
No, that makes it harder for people to see.
Okay, you're getting on my last damn nerve now, girl. Is that my out loud voice? Sorry.
Why don't you just let me share my screen?
Okay. All right.
Would that help?
I'm trying. Yeah. All of a sudden, my computer just locked up. Hang on.
Sorry, y'all. This is really fun.
It was a trial
wait.
run. All right. I'm going to add it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Psych. Okay. Do what you want. There you go. Do what you want. Do what you will.
Okay, so this is what we started doing. We did we broke it down minute by minute. So all of Alex's, anything digital, whether it's come from the car, phone, testament, based off what we've been told so far. So we've got Alex, Maggie, and Paul. And we have it mapped out the minute by minute of their steps, messages, everything.
Can you zoom in more than 100, Jade asked?
Oh, yes. Tell me if I need to go even bigger.
This is phenomenal, LFT.
Thank you. But this is because, is this what y'all were referring to last night? Like trying to figure out
Yeah.
Well,
trying to visualize it,
yeah,
I
like
guess.
I wanted to do it where we sort of combine the digital with the stories, the interviews, if that makes sense.
Oh,
like,
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that way. See, this is how my brain works. I like to hear what the person has to say, right? But I also want it to be, I want to see proof too. I want the receipts. So what I thought was like, so we know where Maggie and Alec were at around 8:49 is when everything and some seconds, 8:49 and some tenths of seconds or whatever it is, where they were with their phones, right? And we know, but then we also have Alec, what Alec said and what the two caretakers said. So I sort of wanted to like combine all of the statements with the digital to see if his alibi actually checks out, or I really want to know exactly how much time that fool had between 8:49, I'll just say 8:50, between 8:50 and when he arrived back on scene to call 911 at 10:06 or 10:07. That's what I was trying to figure out. Did he have time to do all of the things alone? Because really, that's what the jury is going to be looking at. And I want to see if the state can prove it.
Oh, that's okay. Because we started doing something like that too, like where I was going through my original. So this was like the first timeline I was working on, just doing the day. And I was putting in, it was based off like statements and everything. And then it got, because this ends up going, obviously past the 7th, like into the June 8th, and then it's more of the reports and things that happened, but that would be a good place to add it. But I wonder, as we're going through it, if you think of things that in terms of that people said testimony wise that conflict or should be noted, if you'll yell out, because I definitely at least want to add it, in the notes section. So we're like, FYI, this is, remember, like Miss Simpson said, or who was the first housekeeper? Oh gosh, what was her name? The really sweet
Miss Shelley.
Yes, her.
Miss Shelley. Now listen, before we go any further, I hope that you didn't, and nobody else interpreted that as me saying, well, it could have been done like this, because I am completely super impressed with everything that you did. It's an amazing spreadsheet. Okay, because sometimes I talk and I don't think about how it might sound to the other person when I'm saying what I'm saying.
We like direction. You do direct here, so you're not going to hurt any feelings.
Okay, because it is an amazing spreadsheet. You guys have done an incredible amount of work.
But here's the thing: if it's not what you're looking for, then we need to do different. You know what I mean? Like we want to help out elsewhere. We want to provide either what you're looking for or help out where we can. So I completely understand that.
because I think she's got it. I think LFT has all the pieces, right? But I wanted to do it the way we all talked about last night, how it should have been presented to the jury.
So like in a time, so where's our actual timeline itself? LFT.
Like, you mean the like starting even before?
Yeah. Is that what that 3
Now?
years is?
We start in 2015.
So my guess is Jen Lou's saying if we could combine like all of it to one. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Yes, but not. Let's leave out Gloria and Stephen because the jury's not going to be allowed to consider that. All they're going to be, but we definitely have to talk about the financials because obviously they have talked so much about it. But I'm just curious if we were, and when I say we, I mean me too. I'm not going to just be like making demands. I'm not, some queen over here at all. But I was curious if they had laid it out a specific way, the way we really think it should be laid out with the financials at the end and just go through the timeline and the forensics of that night. Can they prove the elements to the jury for the jury to be able to find him guilty? That's what I'm curious about. And
I think we're going to have a better case than they are at that point.
I think they'd do it more easily if they did it like that. I think the way that they're doing it now is the runaround almost to the point where it's confusing so much that it's going to be hard to see it from start to finish because there's so much thrown into the middle.
That's why I said to last night, I said to the prosecutor to call me. I've been more than happy to help.
Right.
Yeah, I like I appreciate double A. Wait, where'd you go?
Oh no, I just took care of it. I took the trash out. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. I was like, well, show me your macros and then we'll talk. Okay, well, maybe this isn't the best one then for now.
But we can still talk through it.
And we can still talk through it because the bones are all there. The prosecution has the bones of the case. That's probably a very, very morbid and not a good way to put it. They have the foundation and the framework to build an excellent case, but they're doing it in such a haphazard way that yes, they started the foundation, but now they started framing up one room, but they're putting the floor in on the second story and the bathroom on the third floor. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like it's a mess, and it's not going to stay together.
And tell me what you guys think about this. That I feel like we like they're throwing dots up, but they're not connecting any of them. It's like
yes.
Yeah, it's like a location. Like we're going to drop the pin in a map here, and we're going to drop a pin in a map here, but we're not actually going to connect or drive to any of those places.
No,
we don't know how we got there. We're just throwing a pin. We're just going to throw the shoes here and the shirt here. The pants are over here.
Right. Like they're putting the laundry away, and they're putting the socks in the microwave.
Right.
And they're hanging up the shoes, and they done put the towels in the attic. I don't know, some useless ass place where towels don't go. I ran out of analogies. Sorry.
Oh my God.
It's a mess. It's a mess.
Can I ask you how long this took you to put together? This had to have taken a really long time. Just reading myself.
Yeah, a couple minutes plus.
The worst was she does them so fast. She does them so fast.
But it's crazy though, Brett. Like, because I'm like you too, generally. Like, I'm very visual. Not only it's like I have to see it, write it, literally do as much as I can. But I had to break it down to see like the gaps of like no activity, and then like comparing it because you're looking at the same time.
Oh, I'm with the amount of detail that you put into it, which I I for one appreciate because
Me too.
I'm very nosy, so I like lots of details, lots of details.
Brittany.
But
Yeah,
now,
I mean, I
You say it so nice, Brittany, where I'm all like a thug. Brittany's all, because I'm nosy, and I'm over here, because I like to know I'm nosy.
yeah, I just want to
See,
know.
no, I
you
love
balance,
things again.
you balance it out. No, it's true though. Spread Wolfie, amen. We talked about this. Spreadsheets are fun to
See,
do.
this is what kills me. Sorry, I just went squirrel and I totally interrupted. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did. That's
But
all
I
right.
just wanted to say,
You're
like, all of a
forgiven.
sudden, remember how they're like, Alex isn't moving at all or doing anything. But then, look, Maggie's is the only one with a ton of activity stuff going on her side. And then a moment later, it's his that's got a ton of activity.
See, isn't that it? And
You know what I
this
mean?
is what the jury,
Yeah.
yes, this is what the jury needs to see. Because this is what the jury needs to see. This is what would put it together for them, because we as in the United States, and I'm sure other countries as well, but I don't know about their legal system. I mean, I know about it, but I'm not as familiar because I don't live there. But we do have that CSI effect here for sure. And there is no CSI in this case. I mean, there is with the phones, but that's it. But there's nothing. There is no direct evidence. There's not a hair of. And the thing is even if there were a hair or a fiber, it's Alex's house. He lives there, so there should be a hair, a DNA, a fiber, a something. Because they live together. So that this is an incredibly difficult case for them, and the way they're putting it together is terrible.
Yeah. Tonka girl, I don't think that you're being rude, and I think you're entitled to your opinion. We don't need or deserve details. You're right, we don't. But you know what it is? Public case, and that means we can look into it. So no, we don't need or want, or we don't need them. That's very true, and I support that statement. But what we do in true crime is dig a little deeper and try to understand things.
And I understand the sentiment, and I would agree if this were an open case and it was still being investigated. But we're at the trial. This is when the public does get the details. And the thing about the United States is now the streaming a trial is new, not that new. They've been doing it for a long time. I mean, Court TV used to do it back in the early 2000s, but the broadcasting it. But one of our rights as United States citizens is to watch public trials. It's just now we have the advantage of we don't have to haul our cookies down to the courthouse. We're fortunate enough to be able to watch it be streamed, but this is part of the checks and balances system that it was built into our country. That's why the United States has public trials, because we're supposed to be watching and observing and making sure that things are going the way that they're supposed to go.
Jade asked if Jen Lou's an attorney. No, she plays one on TV though.
I do play one on TV. I wish I would have gone. Everybody asks that all the time. Are you an attorney? No. No. I went to my very first case that I ever researched, just briefly, was the West Memphis 3 case, but it was in the appeals process at the time. And so whenever they would update the westmemphis3.org website, they would put the new appeal filings in there. And I did not understand them because, I mean, some of it is like regular English, and then some of it is legal speak. And so what I would do is I would just start looking up the legal terms. And sometimes I would have to look up the terms inside the legal terms in the definitions. And I just researched and researched and researched until I understood it.
Which is brilliant, because then she teaches us.
Yes. And West Memphis is your best work, by the way. I just got to throw that out there.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. I
Mhm.
appreciate it. But I find the court system endlessly fascinating, especially the jury system, because if you think about it, all of us here on this panel are people that are qualified to sit on a jury, right? We're all watching the exact same trial, but each one of us has we give a different weight to different pieces of evidence. I might find something incredibly meaningful where Brittany might not. Tia may be somewhere in the middle, and Mallory and LFT are just giving us the stank eye because they're like, what are you even talking about? This over here is what's really important. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's how
always.
juries work. So Mallory's always giving me the stank eye. You see, she admitted it, and clip it, you guys, because
Right. Yep.
that's exactly what she said. That's
Yep,
what I heard.
exactly.
Well, that's what kills me about this case. I think because I feel like I have a better understanding that it's like I see the bird's eye view and it makes sense to me, but then I forget that you've got people that I guess if you are sitting on that jury and you really don't get it, like I get why it doesn't make sense. Like, but at the same time, I want to scream and be like, "Oh my God, no! It's not like the whole thing of when Griffin and them were like, what would he gain by harming his family?" And I was like, "Oh my God, that's not even the point. It wasn't even about like you're missing the whole thing, dude." It's in my opinion, they are. But
it's hard because I think LFT, I think most people when somebody says who has a gain, right? But gains, I think most people think of gain as something tangible, i.e. money, right? That's why I think people are so thrown off, because finding out that Maggie and Alec or Paul didn't have life insurance on them, but Alec did, is so it's a hard concept to wrap your brain around. It's difficult. We're never really going to fully understand it, because if we understood it, we would be the type of people that would unalive other people, but we're not. And it doesn't have to make sense like as something we would do, but is it something he would do? How does he think?
I think after doing this, mapping this out like this and watching, and again, yes, there is a little bit of like you presume a few things as you analyze all this, but like going through this and seeing his actions, and then I did watch the behavioral panels analysis of his interview when he's sitting in the car with Danny that night telling him what happened. It makes like, I know that's taken, it's kind of two different aspects to combine, but listening to what they say and the way he answers questions, like his movements mimic his like precision of things. It was like boom, 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 boom. He's right. Everything that he was kind of saying, like, I think, I did this, I went to my mother's, I took a nap. It's all so analytical. And then when you look at like everything that he's saying is kind of accounted for by his movements digitally too. And that's all he could stick to. He can't deviate from anything. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just wild to kind of see it.
And the fact of the matter is that he is an attorney. And so he and his family did practice criminal law. And I know he did like a couple of cases. His main bag was not criminal, or, on either way, not prosecuting or a defense. But his main thing was personal injury. But he is familiar with criminal law because of his family. And so he knows that as an attorney that your statement can and will be used against you in a court of law. And so he knew that he had to stick to exactly what could be proven. There isn't anything, you're really astute to point that out, LFT, there isn't anything in his statement that is anecdotal at all. That can't be verified by some form of digital evidence.
And he's very just like very specific and just so like in the going from the crying to the immediate like just, I mean, I've lost someone too and been in that state of shock, but I can tell you those hours after, like having to be on the phone, I was still super up, I didn't go to like laughing or like spitting outside the car, opening the door so I could spit real fast kind of deal. Like it's like it's like Chris Watts to me for the first time. This is just my opinion only. It's like once you sat down and did it, I'm like, damn, he could do it. It makes like when I analyze it and look at it like this, I'm like, I know it's tight, but here's the thing, he could do it. And now learning more about how he operates and the way he has worked in the past, like it all is so symptomatic. And I think you get the scary thing looking at this makes me go, you're guilty even more.
Yeah, right. Like that same type of, what do you call it? It like embarrassment feeling, like you kind of feel embarrassed for him with how ridiculous he's acting.
Because it's embarrassment.
Secondhand. I'm drawing tonight, but yeah, it's that. LFT said it perfectly. It's identical feeling you got when you watched Chris Watts on that porch. That's how I felt watching it too.
Where you cringe, yeah. Amber actually asked a really good question, and this is something that I do want to talk about at some point, but I want to just draw attention to it. The biggest question she has is a Snapchat video. Everything sounded normal, just dealing with the dogs. At what point did it turn sour? I want to get to that for sure, but his behavior in general is something to behold that whole entire evening. When you're watching the police, the video, the body cam video, it's the way that he turns on and off Amber, I think, is probably a really good answer to that question so far.
I'm not even sure he got out of the car and ever went up to check on them at this point. I question that.
Oh, I don't.
At the time that he came home and said that he did it. I don't think he. I wonder now. I don't think
we were up many hours of the morning looking at some pictures, and we definitely want to talk to you guys about some questions that we have. The flip-flop area being one of them. There was tire marks there. Did they ever say what the tire marks were from? Were they from a vehicle? Were they from obviously a vehicle, but were they from like a four-wheeler or a truck, a car? Did they say?
I don't think they've specifically said yet.
Okay.
Which one it was from. I know that some of the ATVs had flat tires, and that's kind of why the question of how Maggie and Paul got up there was questioned.
I thought it kind of looked like, do y'all remember that? I think I shared it. I know I sent it to Criminality. I think they shared it a while ago. It was, and we've all seen it, but I don't think you realize that we can actually see, unfortunately, the bodies in the pictures of the crime scene. Like where Maggie's feet, like some of the diagrams have her head facing in the direction that her feet actually are.
Oh my goodness.
Those are incorrect, and yes, there are.
Like her feet are facing.
You can see
her head. Yeah, I mean her feet are towards the field, not like she's facing the opposite direction as Paul is. Paul is facing towards the hangar. She's facing towards the dog kennel direction.
Wow.
And when we were looking at that, it made me think, Tia, about a car just driving straight through there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was gonna actually ask here, because I'm gonna show something to you guys, and I want to get an opinion on this too, if I can show it. Because I'm such an ace at showing all this stuff lately. It's going so well for me. That's and
I'm trying to figure out a way to put this timeline in a video or something so that people would have it, that it's out there.
Years ago, we did an illustrating Watts timeline, and that's what we're trying to do with this. But it takes a long time, and it's hard as hell. So you guys see this Pharaoh.
What if we collaborate and we have different people take different, and by people I mean me. I'm volunteering. I don't want to volunteer anybody
I
else.
told
But
you
what?
last night that we would too, me and Mallory.
Yeah. What if
Yeah.
we all take different parts and then put it together? Do you know what I
love,
mean?
That would
yeah, I
work.
love the idea.
Yeah.
I love,
Because it is a lot.
I
So
love it.
much.
Let's see.
this
Okay, this
is-
is what I'm talking about. Mike, all of a sudden, it's not going to work.
Do you want to go back and do it? The fair.
Yeah,
Have
I
y'all
was just
seen that
gonna,
the rendering of the crime scene, like where the camera?
I was
it
wondering if they
recreates-
drove right through, like if he drove right through whomever did this. But do you want to? Let's just start from the beginning for those who may not know. Just give a brief LOT. Give a brief overview of super brief overview of the case, really quick, why we're here, and then we can break into the financials a little bit, because I think that is what our area of expertise is, if you will. Am I wrong? Am I right? Am I wrong?
Oh, I don't even know what our. I think we just
Yes, we know the
Know
house
about it.
address, Jade.
yes.
I'll say this. LFT sent me a part of a spreadsheet that does track the financials. And my jaw is still on the floor. I'm still currently processing.
Is it not unreal when you really look at it and you see?
When you have it in front of you like that, the way that you laid it out, it does give. Frankly, this is how the prosecution should have introduced the dadgum. They should have called us.
Told
I
you.
mean, for real, because it's frightening, and when
It
I
is
say-
very frightening.
And you just look.
Do you
at the
have
same
that
way-
LFT? Do you want to show
Yeah.
that?
Oh yeah. So let me know if y'all can see this, or if I need to zoom in or out. And so this includes everything, every kind of case that either Alec was involved with, or or had to do with the boating accident. Everything specific, just to what he was kind of up to, y'all. It is. So it starts 2015. And by the way, I think that's funny. I think it's notable, actually not funny. It's notable that Paul's alter ego of Timmy, when he becomes more the hellion, when he's drinking and he can't close his hands, his fingers spread, all that starts in 2015. And when a lot of this stuff picks up from 2015 forward. I'm sure there's a ton more beyond that as well prior to this, but the names, the fake forge, how many times it comes up.
I love Jeanne for that, by the way. That was the fake forge. The fake forge.
It is unreal.
It is mind blowing because you also see the same cast of characters over and over and over again. And I would be remiss and disingenuous if I did not say that I think that the reason the firm ended up turning him in was because they were protecting themselves, to be quite honest. The way that LFT has this laid out, and this is the way that it was, I can't understand how it was, how nobody noticed.
That's what got me. It worried me almost for everyone testifying, like the worst one, because I think Chris Wilson seems like a great guy. My heart broke for him. And I was like, I seriously wonder, will they have additional proceeding? Will they be responsible or liable for anything that could be considered misconduct? From without, because they just said they trusted him and they thought everything was moving correctly. Did they just disregard something on their end too, that they could be penalized for?
Well, for me, with respect to Chris Wilson, now my heart broke for him too, because homeboy's still out the money. He ain't never been paid back. But I like all you girls, okay? I do. But if we were sitting in an office together and one of the runners, let's say we were at Decipher headquarters, all right, and I was sitting in the office with, it would be me, you, and Mallory and Brittany, and we were all sitting there just kicking it, and a runner from your office came in with a bag of money, which they give it to you in an envelope from the bank. It's a little zipper pouch or whatever of cash. I'm not going to lie. I would be side-eyeing immediately. I would be wondering who's walking around with cash like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And some of the real
You know what's
estate
crazy?
dealings,
Oh my God.
just so you guys know, like that was part of the reason we were up till the wee hours of the morning. Some of the real estate dealings we can't find. We have to pay for, and we'll pay for them. It's fine. That's not a money request. It's just I'm annoyed at the fact that the county of Hampton wants $24 to look for 5 properties when Maggie already owns 8 in one county. So all the properties were in Maggie's name, and
Yeah.
that should be noted. All the
That's
properties.
okay. Wow.
Yes. And
which is why I don't understand why she would be going for a divorce.
She wasn't.
Why should exactly?
She wasn't.
I can understand.
Exactly.
I can understand why she'd be worried financially. Like I get that, and the stress of what these lawsuits would bring. And then I could also her being like having excuse my French, an oh shit moment, being like, my name's on half this stuff. I'm gonna be like,
no, her name's on all of it, which is why I want to know from Hampton County what she owns there too.
She owns there are 8 of them in Colton County, which so that's going to include Moselle and their other properties. And we've got the whole list of them, and they're literally, and we go back and you look at it, there's another name that y'all just need to keep in mind, because the pattern of this selling, who's bought from, to and from, and deeded over to, is consistent the entire way through. It's like Jinlu, it's like looking at this stuff again. Like that's the next thing I'm going to do is put the property stuff in like this, and you can see who sold it. But it's how do you pronounce
Bullware.
it? Bullware.
They call him Buller, but it's bull. I mean, it's spelled Bullware. Jade, many wealthy people do that, but if it's in the wife's name, the husband. Here's the deal. She may be on the title, but who's on the mortgage?
Okay, wait, that's so funny. What is this one?
So it's not just from wealthy people. It's they do it for tax purposes for him, and especially if he's dealing in quote unquote cash. Even if the marriage, well, separated 50-50 equal division, it won't matter. It does actually. There are certain states where it really does matter. And we're just looking into this. I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm so glad you brought that up.
I was just going to ask, is South Carolina a no-fault state?
Oh.
I don't know yet, because we haven't looked that part up. I'm going to tell you in a second.
Okay.
Hey, Siri.
Sorry.
No, don't you Siri and get everybody going.
I love it. I did that one night, and hers answered. And mine sitting in front of me wouldn't answer, but hers answered. And I was like, "Hey Siri, tell me a bedtime story." And then her phone would start talking, and then I would ask another.
That was so great.
Question. I drove her crazy for several.
Does not have a no-fault law in effect. It does not.
Do we know if Maggie was aware of everything that was in her name?
Well, she has to sign.
Okay.
Now, is she aware of what she's signing? I don't know. You know,
I think that kind of speaks to what Miss Simpson testified to about her saying that she thought that basically Alec didn't tell her everything, and she worried that he wasn't being honest about stuff. That makes me wonder if there were some things that she was unsure and worried about as well, in terms of what potentially could be considered hers as an asset, and value, because I'd be nervous as heck.
I would too.
Well, what I want to know, which is what I asked last night, and I haven't had a chance to look into it, but how does this work? So there's an active open lawsuit against them, right? Against Alec personally, against the Murdaugh family trust, against Buster. And there was a threat by Tinsley to go after Paul and Maggie. So when that happens and you're a married couple and the husband is involved in a lawsuit, and then you file for divorce, how does that work? Who gets what? Because I would think that the lawsuit, because it was filed first, they essentially have dibs on your assets. So I feel like if that's the case, it would not be advantageous for Maggie to file for divorce then, because she for sure wouldn't get anything. Right. And we have no idea what they went into the marriage with. Like, did they have a prenup? Did they have like a postnup, like an agreement? We don't know. Which is why I just don't think that divorce was a motive. I think I can't say this enough, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I think when Alex said to Officer Green that this was related to the boat accident, I actually think that rat bastard was telling the truth. It is about the boat accident. That was the catalyst.
Yeah, that's the catalyst for it.
I agree. I actually have a question for you. Oh my God, excuse me.
Who's that? It sounds like a little baby. What happened? Oh no.
Lord have mercy. You are not on. This is not your show.
Yes,
please come take this beast. Really. All 4 pounds of him.
Yeah, he doesn't sound like a big dog, just like a.
Don't tell him that, Jen. Don't tell him that.
It's not even. It's not a dog.
He thinks he's a Saint Bernard.
Is that the little black one?
Yeah, the little, yeah.
Oh, I love him. He's so cute.
Thank you. Thank you. He's naughty.
I agree. I believe the boat was the catalyst as well.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you guys. And I'm very interested in this question, because I'll let you go back and please in the chat, because I really want to hear from you guys too. Being that the boat was the catalyst, the boat crash was the catalyst. And I agree with that 1,000%. Who was the target that night?
I think Paul was.
I think Paul.
I agree. Mallory, what are your thoughts?
I think it depends on who actually did it, unfortunately.
Ooh, expound.
So, I mean, I've always thought that if Paul did it, it's because of the boat incident, but not because Paul did something, because he just didn't want to deal with it anymore. He didn't want to have to give the money. He didn't want to have to have his name smudged in history with his son doing something like this and being charged with it, or even having them have to settle is going to put some type of mark on their name. But then also, I also think that it could have been Maggie if it was Alec that did it, just in general, because like that dynamic is so relevant in instances like this. So I don't know, but I do think whoever did it, for whatever reason, it was the boat crash, and not necessarily the boat crash itself, but the litigation following the boat crash. That everything.
That's what I agree. When I say boat wreck, I'm talking about the litigation, not the wreck itself. So agreed.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly. I think it wouldn't surprise me if it was Paul or Maggie. I don't think anyone had it out for Alec at all. I don't think, in my head, that's not even something that comes to mind. But I don't know if I'd be able to pick between the two without knowing the background of it. But I think, because it all depends. I mean, if Maggie came in that night and was yelling at him because she found out that he was willing to pay the $3 million in a settlement and she didn't want that, that could have sparked a fight and started everything. I mean, so it could have been about Paul, but it was between Alec and Maggie, or it could have just been Maggie heard a fight with Paul and Alec, and she was just a witness, so he had to kill her too. Like, there's so
Okay,
many
that was what I was about to ask. Like, if Paul was the target, which I believe he was as well, Maggie, why Maggie? Because she witnessed it.
Well, see, this is what I think. This is why I say Paul was the target, because of what was done to Paul. With the caliber of gun that was used, the type of ammunition that was used, it was extra. It didn't have to be that way, and that implies a personal issue, right? And then with Maggie, there is a little bit of personal to it because whoever did it stood over top of her and fired down after she was down, to make sure. So, but Paul was done way dirtier, way worse.
Well, you know what else? And you know what else is interesting about that, Jeanne, that I just noticed about it being targeted. Never once does Alec try to call Paul or text Paul throughout this entire night.
Right.
No, he doesn't. He only tries to get a hold of Maggie, which is interesting because he knew damn right well they were both there.
And
Paul wasn't going anywhere.
Paul.
Exactly. Paul wasn't going anywhere. His vehicle was broke down. Remember? That's why his vehicle was at the side, down wherever the hell it was on that farm. But
he
I
never
think that
even freaking tried to contact him.
Not once. He called everybody around Paul looking for Paul, but not Paul. And the thing is that if it were your kids, okay, and when you went to open their phone, all right, and they have a number lock on their phone, most people would the first digit you're going to try is a birth date. And the fact is, Alec, when they were asking about Paul's birthday and everything like that, he struggled with giving the birth date repeatedly. And I see the irony in the fact that Paul's phone, his lock screen, was his dadgum birth date. I think, and to say things like it's as good as can be expected. With respect to their relationship, it's an odd turn. It implies they were going through something. It's like when somebody asks you after you have somebody who's passed away that's close to you, how are you doing? And you say, as good as can be expected. That's not a way really to describe a relationship with your son or your daughter, your child. If somebody asked me, I would say the truth. We have a good relationship. Do we fight sometimes? Sure. Do we butt heads? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we love each other and we resolve it. That's how I would describe my relationships with my kids, all of them. They drive me insane. All day, every day.
I highlighted the wrong comment. Sorry, guys. I was trying to... I listened and I got finagled in a message, so I apologize.
I'm just mind blowing right this second, just thinking about him being. I do think he's I do think he was more the target, and not because of, like you said, not because of like the accident itself, or because he didn't love his son or something. It was because of what that is spurring the unraveling of. Because that's
what the boat accident opened him up to.
And that forensic rabbit hole would take, everything. And I think after now reading more about the selling of properties, and that we don't know where some of this money is, and looking at who they're involved with these properties, I think it is something that's been going on for years and years and years and years.
Well, I think that's what opened him up to the problem is he's been doing all these naughty things, and then his son's accident exposes them even further, if you will.
Correct.
And
I think he thought he could cover it up for a long. I think he thought that this if that boat accident had never happened, likely nobody would have found anything out for a while anyway. That can't go on forever.
No. But that was the catalyst, and it's not the accident. Yeah, like you said itself. It is what he was going to be open to. Yeah, what he was going to be expected to do, like, and have to open up, give like people in privy information to, like, his entire financial background. It is, and he couldn't have that happen. He couldn't have that happen yet. So then,
Joy, excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. Keep going.
No, I just totally interrupted. I apologize. That was rude. I'm so sorry.
No, I can't even remember where I was going. I just meant.
I'm so sorry. That was rude. I apologize. I just wanted to acknowledge this when Paul was an embarrassment to Alex because of the boating accident. He tarnished a family name. First of all, Joy, I couldn't disagree more. Paul was a drinking buddy for Alex. That's what they were. They were all drinking buddies. And go back and just Google some of that. You will see that they were buddies. They didn't have, like, in my outside opinion, which means nothing, they didn't have a father-son great relationship, but they sure did love to hang out, drink, kill things, be on the boat, do that kind of stuff. Manly man, shotgun your beer while your shotgun's next to you. Sounds like a really great plan. But in my opinion, I think, like Jen Lou said, like Mallory eloquently said, I think the problem was the exposure. It wasn't necessarily that he didn't, the name meant something, but he knew he was tarnishing his own name, and he was trying to keep it buried as much as he could.
What other choice did he have? It was either that or it was.
But it's not like the family wasn't in trouble before. So everyone's like, oh, gasp, da-da-da-da-da. Listen, Grandpa was indicted for moonshine, helping the moonshiners.
I was going to say he was a bootlegger.
Yeah. So it's not, you just read, the boating lawsuit was going to expose family secrets. There were no family secrets. They were hung out there. There wasn't a lot to be. People didn't talk about it because it was a small southern town. I think we talked about that once before too. But there weren't a lot of secrets as far as, you know what I'm saying?
There was a lot of swindling going on. I mean, and then people, like they said, I mean, look at Connor Cook's family and all of them right after the boating accident too. They resolved themselves to the fact that, like, they could hardly find an attorney to represent them because they didn't want to go up against Murdaugh. I think it was Connor's dad at one point that not only realized that it had a guy that he'd known since high school just kind of screwed him over to save his own son. Not only was he amazed by that, but then he also was they accepted the fact that there's nothing they could do probably about this one. And I think that's a horrible thing. Like, that's got to be, I don't know.
I think too, Bebo, you know what nobody talks about is there were other lawsuits out there stemming from this boat accident. I mean, the girls, well, one of them, and now I can't remember who it is at this moment in time, but she had that really bad hand injury.
Morgan.
And then Connor, he had his dadgum jaw broken. I don't think people understand how expensive and how many surgeries and things that you have to go through when your jaw is broken.
I've had
I
jaw
mean,
surgery.
so
I
you
got,
know.
I was
She-
wired
she's-
shut for 6 weeks, but then I also slipped down the steps, like my,
She actually has plates, metal plates.
yeah,
in
I've
her
got the
face.
titanium plates that hold like the screws around my, they cut your sinus cavity in half and then they move my jaw up, their stuff. But it's extensive. You're in the
It's
hospital.
very involved. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's costly.
Mm-hmm.
How can you say
And
it was a family name? It was money. Barbara, can you be more specific?
the thing is that nobody talks about that. Paul's or Alex insurance on that boat was he was so underinsured. There was
Oh,
I
It
mean
wasn't insured properly.
he
at
didn't
all.
even have, yeah, that was
I'm a former
yeah.
underwriter. He was not insured properly. And how the hell that went through is beyond me.
Well,
The
that's
insurance commissioner should be.
yeah, that's another issue. But I think that I think a lot of people, because Tinsley is the only attorney that testified respective to the boat litigation, I would say he was probably by far the most aggressive in going after the Alec, because he said, because he said, if you don't think I'll burn your house down, which I noticed he left out of his testimony in front of the jury, which was probably a good thing. But he was aggressive. He said, if I find out you fixed a jury, or if I even think that you fixed a jury, I will come after Maggie and Paul.
Yeah.
And
he
but
wasn't going to let it go.
No, he was a dog with a bone. He knew this man had money, and he knew he was trying to weasel out of it. And I think that he was pretty. I kind of feel like Tinsley might have been the voice for everybody that was involved that day in that accident. But the most surprising thing to me is that, and this is something that Alec likely didn't know. So Anthony Cook said in his interview during, I think it was Low Country, he talked about Mallory's funeral and Paul being there, and that Paul was sad about it. He wasn't that night because he was, drunker than Cooter Brown, but after the fact, and they made peace. And I don't think that Alec knew that, because I think that one of I think Anthony Cook was probably suspect number one with the police. He was probably the first one in his family and Connor, because they're cousins, to be looked at and looked into for this. And I think that, that tells me that Alec and Paul were not that close.
I'm telling you, I think they were drinking buddies.
I think they were too. I agree with you. Some of those videos I've seen, if I ever acted like that with my kids, I would be embarrassed if somebody caught that on video, for sure.
Do you think Paul was using it, like that he was being Alec's drinking buddy and being buddy with him just to get the perks of being like
a Murdaugh?
Yeah, like he's utilizing, like he's just using his dad to be able to have that side of things. Where
well, they've said that he is totally, both kids. I mean, they were born and bred to be Murdaugh.
Yes.
Murdaugh.
Yes. So I just wonder if it's like he's being not genuine, and Alec is almost. Like he's like, oh, it's my son. I'm going to love him. We're going to drink together and we're going to do this. But then Paul's just like, well, if I drink with my dad, then he's going to buy me beer for everyone. And,
I mean, I think, I agree with that. But that's kids in general. Like, my kids know which parent to go to get different things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my youngest knows if she wants money, I'll give her money. But you got to do something. You have to do some housework. You got to help out. Right. You know what I mean? Where my husband will be like, oh, you need whatever, here you go. And I'm like, what are you, come
Right.
on. That's, you know what I mean? So yeah. So that's why she avoids coming to me. She doesn't do her banking with mom. She does her banking with dad because she knows that dad's over here like Palmetto Bank, just loaning shit out.
That's true.
I just wanted to show you guys in case for some of the people who hadn't
Oh
seen
my
this.
God.
Right.
And
See,
a second ago, you said said his name in the way that he says it. I cringe every time I hear this man say murder.
Murder.
Yes.
because it's Scottish and it's really like, I can't speak Scottish, so I can't. We need Country Joe to tell us the
Oh
actual
my God, yes.
pronunciation of the name.
Sorry.
But it's like they
Look
say
at
it with the twang.
His hands kill me. The hands thing kill me.
Oh,
Ever
scroll
since-
back. Is he wearing white pants?
Yes, he is.
Oh,
No, those are
Lord.
pale
Those are
They're
khaki.
They're khaki.
Okay.
So he says when he gets drunk, he can't close his hands.
Oh my
his
gosh,
fingers.
that's how they know Timmy's coming on.
That is the
means
weirdest thing.
look
I'm
at
fixing to look up Timmy
Go
from
look
South
up the
Park and
video
see if
of
that's
him
what
in the-
that's about.
when that video of him in the hospital, you know, when they've got him strapped in, if you look at his hands, like as they're wheeled and pulling him back, they're taking him finally back into the room. His hands, like the one hand that's showing, he can't get, like his fingers are all spread apart. And that you could tell it started to happen on the docks. And that's what I didn't realize that, I didn't know that part of it until the HBO series that I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's and then I went back and looked, and between you being like, look at him anytime he takes a picture. So I was already now watching his eyes everywhere I went, and now I'm like watching his hands and his eyes, and I'm like, I'm creeping myself out, being like, what the hell?
Did you see what I saw though with the eyes in the pictures?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
she talked about that. Yeah.
What did you see again?
He doesn't look at the camera. Frequently when Paul is being photographed, he is looking somewhere else.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, this is what I wanted to show you guys. Like, do you see, drinking with the family was not that big of a deal to them. And I mean, I don't know how old he is here, but he wasn't of age anywhere.
No, he wasn't.
It wasn't a big deal to, P.S., you know, look around. He's at a bar here. That's what I'm saying. Like, you gotta, I'm trying to be careful because I can't remember what all these are, but Morgan and him on the dock.
And this is where Tinsley's pursuit veered from the other people who were suing him, because Tinsley was investigating the investigation.
Right.
And had gotten his mitts on some, you know, damning videos that would hold more people liable. And that
Matt, I think Miley
know,
even she had like 8 exhibits that she was able to give too. Is that the paperwork for her too? I thought Miley, like Morgan and Miley both had from like even years before.
That's what this is just a description of all the pictures I just showed you.
It's crazy.
Where his parents bought, you know, let me read really quick one of these where it says, Exhibit 1 is a video taken by me July 4th, 2018, while I was a minor, in which I'm given Alex Murdaugh a shot of alcohol while on a boat. All minors, including Paul, were provided the alcohol by Paul's parents. Further, Paul's parents were present and saw Paul consuming alcohol to the point of being grossly intoxicated.
Mm-hmm.
That's Exhibit 1.
I mean, and think about the testimony from Paul's friends. We all like to hang out at the Murdaugh house. And let's all be real. Let's all be real for a minute. We were all teenagers at one time. Every single one of us had that friend whose parents did not give her, they were just like, whatever. And that's where everybody hung out. Exactly. Yeah. You either had the parents that were cool with it or the parents that were never home. We all had that house.
Yep.
All of us. And it had nothing to do with wholesome family values. Let's all just like they were trying to elicit from him during cross. That's not what it was about. They weren't learning choir songs and going around and feeding the fucking homeless. Stop it. It was a party house. Their parents were
exactly what it
those
was.
parents. It is what it is.
Mhm.
Just say what it is. I can't stand the bullshit. I don't have patience for it.
Hey, Alabama girl, thanks for being here. I that's where I agree with you 100%. Like, I think that was the party house. I think it was the house to be at. I think it was no big deal, and I knew many people, parents like that, and that was the fun house to be at. What scares me is also that was the house where all the guns were. So I probably that wouldn't have been my jam for very long when we just leave guns around wherever we.
Right?
I'd like to see evidence of this careless and cavalier attitude to firearms. Honestly, I would. I think that the more likely scenario is that he was cavalier because somebody came behind him and picked it up. I don't think that they were just,
Well, they left their dishes out till the next day for them to come. They
That's
don't
a thank
put their dishes
you.
away. I was stuck on that when they were like,
Picked up a towel from the bathroom floor, wet towel.
Yeah,
I've
like-
said that repeatedly. Look, Alex Murdaugh, I just want to say this to you. I was going to try to, cut you some slack because of your love for Capri Suns. But then Blanca talked about the towel on the floor, and I'm sorry, but the Jen Lu cannot abide. We do not leave wet towels on the floor. That is ridiculous. That is pure ignorance, and you should have been raised better than that.
No, I was done at no. Sometimes typically the dishes are still in the TV room or on the table, and I was like, get out of town. I couldn't do it. Like, I'd have
No,
the
I
Amy
don't
Vanderbilt
understand
book
people
thrown
that
at
can
me
go bed.
sometime.
No, you can't. I can't go to bed like that either.
Oh yeah, but just to be like, no, I'm gonna leave it. Like, she made us dinner. I'm just gonna leave it in the here on my TV tray until she decides till she has to be here
Until she
tomorrow.
shows up in the morning.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's disgusting. You can't even you can't even walk to the kitchen and put your dishes in the sink.
My
But
grandma
you
was
can go take a nap. You can go take a nap after riding around in your out to a
my
field.
grandma was an in-home healthcare nurse, and she always was taking care of the elderly of the very upper class, if you will. And you would not believe how gross some of these people are that lived in mansions. They would leave. I'm not even kidding. I'm sorry for this, but just to give you an idea, they would let their animals use the bathroom in their house, and instead of cleaning it up like normal people would, they would leave it for the help whenever they come back, whether it's the next day.
Dude, I can't.
Yeah.
It's so. Don't you hate
My
it?
grandma
It's cringe.
I believe it. I used to be fascinated watching the Osbournes. I loved that show.
Oh my god, that show cracked me up.
But Sharon and Ozzy would let those dogs go potty in the house and okay, we're not talking about going potty in the house like a regular person's house. Like, these people had all kinds of like super expensive rugs, and even if they had fucking Target rugs, which Target rugs are kind of bougie, but you get my meaning. It was disgusting. Like, how do you let your home be the animal's toilet? I love my animals. I do. They're my family. They're like, my children in a way. But if Alice and Mac and Nestor, I would never let them just be like, I got to take a leak. Here I go. They would, animals don't like to live like that anyways. They like it clean, especially cats.
Well, there's the old saying, you don't shit where you eat. Dogs don't. That's why you crate train dogs.
Yeah, Nestor was a crate trained dog. Do you know what he did one time? This is totally off subject. I've never figured out how he did this. But when he was a puppy, I got up one morning to let him out and for him to go potty and have his breakfast and all that. And his crate was in the corner of the kitchen. Okay. So it was butted up against a flat wall. This fool chewed a hole in the wall, the flat wall, not a corner, I've never figured out how Nestor did that. To this day, it is a mystery to me and to everybody else in my family how that fool managed to get his teeth to make a hole in the flat part of the wall through the crate. Still to this day, don't know how he did it.
Man, when he took that escape from prison thing seriously, didn't he?
He was like, I just watched. Yeah, maybe one time we must have watched like Shawshank Redemption, and he just, had a moment of Andy with him.
He was looking for the spoons, like
He's
Yeah, Shawshank. What'd I say?
No, that's exactly what you said. But see,
okay.
our dog did that too. The very first night that we got to bring her home, and we've got a Australian Labradoodle, and that was the biggest thing. Like, they don't go to the potty where they sleep. So the very first night we get her home, she's teeny tiny. We leave her in the crate. And by the way, the crate is not like overly big, but she's spoiled. So it was much bigger than she needed at the time. And we left just to go get like Chinese food and came home and she had pooped in it. She never went back in it. She put her toys in it, but never went back in that crate. My mom was kind of like, she didn't like it. Then the dog just started sleeping in the bed and doing everything. And my mom was like, she don't like it. But we came home and I was like, I thought this is what they said they don't do. Like when we leave for 20 minutes and the dog does that one thing that like no dog.
There
you go.
Mm-mm.
There you go. Say hello. He's being rude again. He's a dog.
So cute.
Aww.
He has all 4 pounds of him.
Oh, look at that face.
Now, are you finished? Did you get all the attention you needed? Hello.
Look at the little, look, he's got the saddest little eyes, but they're so cute.
Why is he being this quiet?
Is that your new office?
Because I'm holding him.
What did you give him?
Is that your new office here?
This is my husband's office. My office is still.
You don't like the cool headphones? Does anyone want to book a flight? Oh, okay, bye.
Is your office still going to be? Well, she left. I was going to ask her to still have the Marilyn Monroe room.
Yes, she does. Oh, yes. I think I asked that question too, Britt.
Yes, I do have the Marilyn Monroe room, but it's under construction as everything else is in my house right now.
But you're home. I'm so glad you're home.
I am home. Man, I'm all over the place too.
Wait, I have a Murdaugh question.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Oh,
not you, me. I'm with the sweet Jesus. That's me. I just don't know where my camera. It is like NASA in here. Let me just show you what I got going on. I have 57 screens.
Oh my God.
I told you. It's crazy.
Let's hack the Pentagon. Just kidding.
And I am thinking that I was doing big things with a 3-screen setup. Look at you go.
Yeah, okay, it's too much. As you can see, it's too much. I can't handle my shit.
I used to be able to do the 3, but now it's like I plug in the HDMI to do it to the TV and then my other external screen, and it's like, oh, your laptop, this USB or port or whatnot is out of date. You can't like now all of a sudden things don't work, and I was just like, I just said everything's broken.
Everything is broken, but it's okay.
So, I have a question about Murdaugh.
Yes, ask please. I love questions.
Seriously, where do you all think? Let's go with right about now. They're trying just in terms of things that Alec would potentially have to immediately kind of take care of or pay. We're going with 10 million, right? That's what we're looking for, that he would have to, in terms of financial kind of crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell's the money? Where, even moving it through different, like through the accounts, the money's not there. Where's the money?
It ain't the United States, I'll tell you that. That's what I mean. No, I know that. Now I have not read this for myself, but the person that did say it, I think it was, I feel like I don't want to blame somebody. Okay, so I'm not going to say, but the person who said it is reliable. Is that Alec, before he went to rehab in Florida, he took a trip to like the Bahamas or something like that. And a lot of people suspect that his money is in, the money he hid is in an offshore account.
And that would make sense because and then he had Eddie with him then right after that trip in Florida because they both got busted in Florida, right?
Correct.
Get out of town. Okay.
That is so.
I mean, it will. I think when he goes to trial for the financial stuff, I think.
There's that noise.
Is he okay?
He's fine. He just got startled. Sorry, that's what happens. He barks at
No.
nothing. He just likes to make people know that he's around. I'm really sorry, guys.
No, don't be sorry. I just wanted to make sure he's okay. He sounded like he was hurt.
No, that's his.
No.
That's his. I have a big dog. I'm not used to those little ones barking. It makes me nervous.
Usually he gets startled and he yells at everybody for startling him.
Well, I mean, he's only 4 pounds. Can you imagine what the world looks like to him?
It's a big place. It is a big place. But you know what? He's a pimp. So believe me, he knows.
Aww.
It could be in a brother or sister's name in another country. It could be, but I'm pretty sure that they probably have gone through all of the verdicts. Murder Maggie killed. Ooh, what's this? It's a mechanic. What is this? American Murder. Maggie killed Paul, so Alex had to kill her. Alex is watching American Murder, so he's so guilty. Interesting. Okay,
that's a very interesting thing that you said there because when the first responders first got on the scene, they were thinking, it was a murder self-harm. But they couldn't find the weapons. And there was something that Blanca, something she said, it was the conversation that Maggie and Blanca had in the gun room of all places. That was the catalyst for Objection Gate. And she said she just wanted it all to go away. And I thought, just for a second, what if Maggie is the one that snapped? And it happened the way that commenter just wrote. Just for a second, I thought that. Just for a second.
I'm not opposed to it. Especially with the two-gun theory. But I need more information. Hi, Delina.
Yes, me too.
I can't quite hang my hat on it, but I'm not opposed to it.
I just think this is where I get stuck on. It was just some, stranger who just happened upon this or even planned it. But the fact that they didn't bring their own weapon is alarming to me. You're going to a house where weapons are kept. I wouldn't show up unarmed. So the fact that it's Paul's weapons that are missing, that is, I think, very strong and compelling evidence there.
I agree.
It doesn't make sense for a stranger to have done this. It really doesn't.
Well, it takes me back to Summer Wells, but
no,
I agree.
Only unless it's like they were paid to do it.
Right.
Okay, well, think about what I said on your panel, Jen, or maybe it was mine. I don't even know anymore at this point. Somewhere I said, when Paul, because we've been talking about this for days.
I know.
When Alec made the 911 call and they asked him, did he think anyone else was around? Meaning, I guess, the person who did it. He said no, quickly, and moved on. He didn't show any signs that he was concerned scared or anything. And
And
to
then he
me,
thought better of it and realized what he said. And I better go to the house and get a gun.
yeah.
Okay, then do you know what he did after that? He grabbed a 12 gauge shotgun and put 16 shell.
I was going to say he grabbed a gun and loaded it incorrectly.
And, yep,
So that if he did
thing
fire, it would have hurt him, actually.
I don't even know if it would have fired. Would it have even?
But I don't know. They were trying to get the witnesses to testify, the gun guys to testify to it. And they're like, I just wouldn't recommend it. Because nobody is ridiculous enough to take that, to do that test. I wouldn't do that test.
No.
I would be like, I don't know what'll happen. And I don't want to find out. So how about we use the correct ammo? Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, this is not
I'll
one
go
of
with
those.
whatever.
Yeah, it's not one of them for science things that Jen Liv would be participating in. There are many for science things I would participate in, but not that one.
Elizabeth Smith said, I thought Paul was Maggie's favorite and Buster was Alex. No, actually, that's not true. What happened with Paul is he actually was, what did he have to go into neonatal when he was born and didn't bond with Maggie?
Oh, yeah,
she actually had a strained relationship with Paul, and she was much closer to Buster, to be fair. And I think Buster was just a more
docile.
Probably. I don't know. I actually have a question. Have you guys watched Low Country? I mean, Jen, Lou, I know you have.
Of course I have. I quoted every other live for Pete's sake.
I know, which is why I had to go watch it several times, and I fell asleep.
Oh, I'm so glad that you guys finally watched that.
Oh, I watched. Yeah, I've watched it. I've watched the first episode one too many times, but I've seen it. I've seen the whole thing through, like actually paying attention. One solid good time, like taking notes. And my biggest thing is the freaking door camera of Maggie walking out, then Paul walking out, and then the picture we see of Alex is him walking. He's entering the house. Not only is he entering the house, he's entering them in his brown loafers, like khaki shorts, the aqua top, and the white T-shirt underneath it. When was that? I want to know what time that thing was taken.
Do you know what she's talking about?
Y'all know what I'm talking about?
I have another question too that I want to add to it.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that part again.
Like seriously, if anyone,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because they show it again. Paul and Maggie leaving, but I'm wondering if those are even from the same. If the weird thing is, he's wearing the same like a very similar outfit. If it's not the same night. Because she had it looked like capris kind, like pedal pusher kind of pants when she was walking out in a white top. And when I saw her on the ground, it looked more like she had on shorts. But I could be totally wrong though from that distance, because you can see the bottom of her calf and her feet,
Yeah, you can
exposed. So I don't know, because I was like, maybe that's a different night. But if that's a different day, it's eerie that he's wearing literally the same outfit that he had on when he was tugging at the tree, except khaki shorts on.
Go watch Low Country on HBO Max, you guys. It's so good. One of the questions I had, and this isn't, open to all. If you've seen Low Country, you're going to know what I'm talking about. In there, they show some text back and forth where Alex messages Maggie with "I love you," and she messages back "I love you more." And Jim Griffin is talking about how, well, of course they loved each other. There was no upset marriage. There was no divorce talk. That's just ridiculous. But my question is not that. I get that. Why was Maggie's "I love you more" green and Paul's blue? Now, I know the answer to this is because of Wi-Fi and etc. But my question is, when was that sent and why is it green? Does that make sense? Do you see what I'm saying?
So they had iPhones, right?
Yep.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like I'm about to make a whole, I feel like a Hart Pootlian right now. I'm finna make a statement.
Go, girl.
But correct me if I'm wrong.
Objection.
Your Honor.
No, I'm kidding.
Your Honor, get him. Um, but when a person texts one iPhone to another, one side is white and one side is blue, right? When somebody who has an iPhone texts somebody with an Android or not on iMessage, they choose just to text, that changes the color to green, does it not?
It does.
So, because Chandler Halderson tried to pull this bullshit too. Instead of, he texted himself from his mother's phone. And rather than do iMessage, he chose to do text. And so it looked different.
Or like send as SMS instead of like what sometimes when it fails and it's like send as SMS. But then I also wonder, did he use a different phone? Because Chris Wilson said the second time he called him, he didn't recognize the number he was calling from.
Okay, didn't he say that? Are you talking about the call? Yes, but wasn't that the call where he called him from the rehab?
Oh, I thought that was when he was calling him in the car on the way back from when he was leaving Alameda. Like,
see, now we're going to have to go back and watch that testimony to put it on the list, LFT.
Do you see what I'm saying?
We got to go back and watch.
It struck me that, yes, I get how the iPhone to iPhone works. And
I don't.
We did more research on cell phones for the Watts case than I know more about cell towers than I've ever known in my life. I kind of get twitchy when we start talking about cell towers. So when I saw that green pop up, I was like, mother trucker, here we go again. Got to go down the cell tower route.
Like,
that's why Wild was so interesting to me yesterday, because I was like, here we go.
But they actually went and rode the property and rode all around so they could get a good reading before they even went to assess the cell records and the towers. They did it. That's like they did more. That's where I fear for the prosecution is that the defense may have them on not a legit. The investigation is they failed in terms of protocol.
Well, Harpootlian wants to take the jury out there.
What would that do, though? What good would that do?
I think that Harpootlian is raising the same questions that our very own beloved criminality
I know
is
she
raising
gets me thinking. She gets
with
me thinking
the trajectory. And he wants the jury to see what that feed room.
You should have seen us last night. Okay, Tia, put them in the map.
To understand how
I'm thinking
it doesn't
now.
work.
See, because now I'm thinking once we looked at that stuff last night, Tia, that we were looking at where the like the footprint.
I'm working on it.
I think he was standing. The whole time in the video of when Paul has the cell video of recording Cash, trying to get the tail picture. Right. I've always thought Alex sounded further away, like he's like he's doing something. He's pulling someone else away. I think he came up underneath that hanger. Like, and you know how there's that one dog, like if you're standing we're walking up towards the kennels from the street.
Yeah, please pull it up because I have such a hard time imagining this joint.
That's what I'm trying to think.
Pictures I've seen are from overhead.
So like if you're looking at it overhead though,
okay.
Jen, like so if we're standing on the road and we're taking that we're using the driveway by the kennels. So we're walking up. And so right when we walk up to it, the kennels would be to our left.
Okay.
Like that row, and the hangar would be kind of right in front of us.
Okay.
So that hangar's got a pole, so it's got two sections on that left-hand side. I see him shooting from that left-hand side, like up towards, if you were walking under that hangar, just to walk right underneath it, keep going straight, like out towards the field.
Okay.
I'm going to show you this first. Oh,
okay. Here we go. Yeah.
Let me put you on the TV so I can see better.
Where the hell did it go now?
Because we were doing this last night, going back and forth between looking where the shells and stuff were.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he started. So I just envision him too, the way if I'm thinking about it. Pretend Alec is walking up that drive, kind of, and he's coming. But when he walks up, I feel like he's gonna keep more to the right, kind of hug the hangar area for a
Okay.
second, but he's going to be shooting.
I'm gonna put it back up. I'm just trying to
Okay.
get a better view.
And-
Sorry.
He'd kind of be shooting from the right regardless at least Paul for sure, because Paul, they
Okay.
said one thing. So Paul's kind of stepping out of that door. So he's kind of, his left side's leaning a little bit, like taking that step to walk out when he's
Okay.
shot.
Show you guys the
does-
video here. See
It
if I
does
can-
the neck one. They said it came up through the left side and exited out the right, like when it's
Mhm.
snipped. So that would put, if Alex was kind of standing under that hangar shooting, coming up, sneaking up from that kind of angle or direction, it would
Gotcha.
account for the entering on Paul's left side.
Can you guys see this? Did this come up?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So Maggie, can you see my cursor or no? Is that a dumb question?
Move it again. Oh,
Move it to somewhere like where the grass is so we can see.
That's
Yeah.
where I have it. Okay.
no,
Well,
no.
okay.
Then
No is
no.
the answer, and we'll just leave it at no. So at the far right post, do you see that far right post
Yes.
there underneath?
Yes.
Maggie
Yes.
was found between the doghouse there and the post. Okay.
That one little
Okay.
dog shed, that little dog house.
Okay.
And then
okay.
he was found to the right, northeast.
Mhm.
The dog kennels are on the right there, northeast, the door right there. In that doorway, that's where he was
Okay.
found. Now I'm going
Okay.
to try and roll this beautiful bean.
It kind of
footage.
shows you.
Okay.
This kind of highlights the footprint area you'll see on the ground, and then it highlights
Okay.
where Maggie was, then it
That
highlights
is
where he
if
was.
I can get this to work. So just bear with me, you guys. I'm really sorry. It's not like I'm new to this. It's just that I'm dumb. Okay?
Are you kidding me? I have had screen sharing capabilities, Jinlu, for weeks now. It's just I don't use it because I have to get Mallory to do it because it's annoying.
And
So my whole
that
point
kinda
is saying that you don't have to be. It's not that you don't know what you're doing. It's just very annoying.
yeah.
So this is what they use. This is their 3D animation that they use.
This is so cool.
I know, I love this.
Mm-hmm.
I watched
need
this
this.
about 500 times last night.
I need this for every case. Like,
Yeah.
because I'm a very much a visualist.
See, it's so right beyond that red lawnmower was where Paul was. Right beyond that, like
You're going to see in 1 second. See, this is exactly where I said, did someone just drive right through here? Because there's tire marks here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And so now we're walking. Yep, and we're walking out towards
Okay,
the
there's
road.
the
So
brick,
now we're facing.
and
in the
these are
brick.
where she was pacing, where you guys
Right.
were talking about the pacing, the footprints where she's pacing. This
Oh
is that
my
area.
goodness.
Okay,
Okay.
I see the tracks now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the tire?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's
Mhm.
that circle right there is Maggie.
Is where she was.
Which the sparkly one?
Wow.
Sparkly one.
Mm-hmm.
That's Maggie.
And her head is facing towards the kennels. So her feet are facing
the dog.
that
house.
little doghouse.
So, like, she was walking away?
No, she was
Like she
walking
was
towards
almost-
Paul.
Yeah,
She's
she's like
walking
walk.
towards-
Yep, and there's Paul. Boom, right
Paul's
there.
right here,
He
hanging
just-
out of the doorway.
Yeah, one
Oh,
foot inside the door.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
That is. Who made this? This is awesome.
The
Oh, this is crime scene.
prosecution.
This is this is crime scene.
This
photo.
is that Pharaoh thing that they were talking about. Oh, well,
Uh-huh.
Brittany doesn't know because she didn't watch the trial because she likes to go live when the trial is on. Which is why I missed her live from the other day because the trial was still on. I couldn't get there.
Sorry.
I literally have it like on YouTube and then like Court TV on my TV. So then when Court TV goes to commercial, I can still listen to what.
See, I keep it on Law and Crime because they got a newfangled thing they're doing. They're trying to kind of compete with Court TV. And so when
Mhm.
they're on a break, then that's when they bring out Gigi.
I live for that.
Oh,
Okay.
And
I'm
that's what I'd be
just-
yeah, come on over to the Law and Crime LFT.
Mhm.
They
Okay.
serve snacks and entertainment during lunch, the lunch hour.
Okay, that's
That
all right.
was,
I'll do that.
we need that for, like, something like that we just watched for every single case that we talk about.
Isn't it
Well, I'll say
fascinating?
this.
Yes.
I'll say this, Brittany. You're going to love this. Are you ready? They
Yes.
did this for the Idaho 4 case too. So when it comes to trial, we're going to get one of these too.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So
Yep.
yeah, I'm going to
So-
and I'm going to tell you exactly when it is too. As soon as I find out they're going to show it, or I think they're going to show it, I'm going to hit you up. I'm be like, get to the long crime now.
Well,
so
you know
don't
what?
miss it.
If you cover that and you go live, I would consider sitting through that one all the way.
I
Actually,
used
Neil,
to
I'm not
do
oblivious
that.
to chat. I'm just trying to handle 17 million things over here. So I
Oh
apologize.
gosh, I'm
if you've
sorry.
said something, then please, I apologize for asking you to repeat it, but please feel free, because if you want to at Decipher Podcast so that you get my attention, I'd be happy to, or whomever you'd like to ask. I apologize if you think we're oblivious. We're really not. I'm just, I'm navigating many waters.
I'm sorry.
Not doing a very good
I
job.
just realized I didn't even have the chat up because I just,
Well, in StreamYard, it's really hard to actually keep up with chat because it doesn't go at the same speed that it does on YouTube as well. So
I have YouTube up as well, but I'm trying to. I mean, you guys saw what I have here. I have 2 computers and 4 screens, so I'm trying desperately to make sure that I show the right thing at the right time, and I'm failing miserably. So I do apologize. I hate that.
But actually, now that I am looking at it, I'm looking at Alabama girl. Oh, not the Chihuahua. I think the Rottweiler's one. Hold on, the other one. So you all think the FBI are still looking for his money? I'm thinking, yeah, they're still trying to figure out where the money is.
Oh, Delana. Can I just say Delana in chat? Delana, I hope you're doing okay. I've been thinking about you. Message me when you get a chance.
I don't know what's going on, but Delana, whatever it is, I hope you're okay, babe.
Thank you.
She's always so very
It's
sweet.
been a rough few weeks. Losing our family friend in the line of duty has been so heartbreaking. Oh my God.
Oh,
So
gosh,
sorry.
I'm so
Delana, we
sorry.
send you our love and prayers, and I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Delana's one of those people that everybody loves her.
Salt of the earth. She's always very sweet. Always.
Okay, you guys want to hear a funny story? Okay, time out. Do you want to hear a funny story? Chat, you want to hear a funny story? Last week, Jeanne was on our panel. And, you know, as I do, I try to handle as much as I can on the panel.
But this isn't a funny story.
This is funny. This is not funny. We're talking about having a rough week here, and I'm still keeping up with this fucking Murdaugh case. So just so you know, last week when Jeanne was on, LFT sent me a text towards the last half hour or so of our live. And she said, "You okay? You're kind of distracted. You paying attention?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm trying. Shut the fuck up." Right. And Jeanne, I'm trying to speak to Jeanne intelligently, but I'm saying wrong words the whole time.
No, you're not. I don't remember that at all.
Oh, I distinctly remember it. My husband was having a heart attack. I'm not
Literally.
kidding. Swear to God.
Literally.
Yeah.
Is he okay?
He's fine. He had three more stents put in after double bypass surgery. He's got like 10 stents and double bypass surgery now. So yeah.
Oh my God, Elle.
As distracted.
I know.
As distracted as I was, I was like, she's going, "Are you hitting your pen? Are you drinking over there?" I'm like, "No." Still drawing attention to me. I know, I feel like an idiot already because I'm trying to keep up.
No.
So,
and then I was literally like, we're gonna have to talk about what necessary.
Because I'm saying things like
priorities.
Yeah, like we're gonna be like, when is it necessary to kind of like, guys, I'm so sorry to cut this short or abrupt, but something's happening. I gotta go. No, we talked through it.
Well,
I was under the impression that you were getting off because you wanted to go watch Low Country, and so when I took 11 billion years to say goodbye, I wouldn't listen. Next time, just be like, "Bitch, my husband is having a fucking heart attack. Could you just leave the panel now?"
It is what it is. We handle things very differently around here. We can't panic. We can't run around. We can't be crazy. We just got to figure our shit out. And I was in the figuring my shit out mode. And he wound up not going to the hospital that night. He went the next day. It's it's fine. But I wanted to explain that no, I was not hitting my pen. No, I was not drunk. Yes, I was.
I didn't pick up on any of that, which says a lot about I'm just apparently oblivious.
No, it's funny. And then I see poor Delana and I'm like, oh my God, it's been a week. I swear to God, it has been a week for
everybody.
Everyone. And I'm like, honest to God, our thoughts and prayers go out to you, Delana, and to your friends, family. And if we can do anything, please reach out. You know how to get in touch with us. We'd be happy to do whatever we can to honor.
No, Jim.
Jim can't hit the pen while we're live. Don't. Nope. I
probably did hit the pen at that point.
Too many balls in the air as it is, and I'm failing at that. If we add any substance to that,
And incidentally, next time I would not think that it would be panic or craziness for you to be like, I've got to cut this short, girls. My husband's having a heart attack. Like that's not. I would.
It's if it were new, it might be different, but this is as I said, 10 stents and double bypass surgery later.
Wow.
I'm like, really?
Yeah, Tia.
Hang on. Let me.
She got dealt like the double whammy this week. So
but on the bright side, I got to keep up with the Murdaugh case because it did a lot of sitting around. So,
well, there you go. Way to be half full, Tia. That's what I like about you.
This is my job. This is my job. Here, I got to keep things afloat.
And here I am thinking that I do a pretty good job trying to portray to the live streams when I'm under pressure that nothing's wrong. You, my friend, deserve a trophy for that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
And I'm so glad your husband's okay.
Me too.
Thank you.
That's true. But good. we had a very serious discussion though. Just let me set this record straight. Like the stern side of me came out. Now it's like that's not even like to give me 2 days and I'll laugh about it with you. But right now, next time, I was like, I'm not joking. Like seriously, that can't happen again.
Right.
Is what I said. And she was like, look at you being all ballsy.
3 feet away. It was all good. I was right there. If I had to end, I would have ended.
Okay.
We were still in the we don't know what's happening phase. So it was good. It's all good. Everything's good. It's all good.
My life is good now, though. He's stable, doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. He's home. He's in there watching some form of sports. I'm certain of it. And yeah, he's got the dogs. We're good. Everybody's good. Everybody's good. I just wanted to explain my lack of paying attention last week. It is in no way relatable to my lack of attention this week.
It's like I told you earlier when we were discussing the live. You were like, I've had a hell of a week. I was like, you have had a hell of a year.
Yeah.
But you know what? Many
at least we're not the Murdaughs.
I was going to say many have.
There you go.
It's so far many more blessings than curses. So I do prefer to stay on the positive side of things because I can go down that anxiety street real quick. And there's no turning me around. So
that's a rough neighborhood. I try not to go down there too much myself. I hear you.
Oh, yeah.
Alabama girl. I agree. Sorry, I'm making sure to reach out this time. Even on StreamYards on my phone. But I agree.
I don't believe the relationships could have been so amazing. Everyone has testified with so much going on. I don't think they were so amazing. I think Tonka girl. What?
Hello.
What? Yes. Punkette, thanks for being here, by the way, sister friend. Appreciate you. Love you. Thank you for being here. Who did we just lose? Did we lose Jen Lou? Oh, shit. Maybe it's smoking time for Jen Lou.
Oh, I don't know.
She might need that break. I don't know. I have so many. So, okay, financials really quick. We need to break some of this shit down. So 8 houses in Colton County.
Colton County.
You would like to talk? Okay. Oh, there's Jen Lou.
Colton County So yes, 8 properties,
Mhm.
and they were all sold over to Maggie. So,
But they were sold
Uh,
before any of this nonsense.
yes,
Well,
this started happening in 2016.
2016. Yeah.
And all these properties, for the record too, the Murdaughs, when Alex first purchased them, were from the Bullware, or whatever their name are, the Bull family.
Bullware.
And that's
Buller.
the Buller. It's like Bullware. You spell it funny, but all these properties they bought from them for X amount of price, and even before they were sold to the Murdaughs, it was sold once between the Bullware family, like for $1. And so it's like they transitioned it over to someone else for $1, and then a couple years later, the Murdaughs buy it, and then they like
I have some
even
questions on that too, though, and we're going to actually post those as in our community post, so you guys can take a look at this. Some of the, and I do want to address the wedding ring in the video or in the vehicle. I think that's important too. But some of the transfer of property, housing, blah blah blah, whatever you want to call it. It was $5. It was $1. It was love and affection here. It was love and affection there. Bullers are always love and affection. But you'll notice it goes back to 1776 on a couple of these properties, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a guy who owns it from.
It was like a company, right, or like a family?
No.
Company?
It was a. I'm looking in all my papers here.
Wait, 1776. Isn't
Yeah,
that
you
when the
heard me.
Declaration
You heard-
of Independence was signed?
Yes.
1776. It was deeded to Hampton County by Norris W. Lightsey. Okay, 1776. The irony of the date. Okay, and then it was purchased. This is a PO box, by the way. 26,000 acres of a PO box. Then it was purchased for $235,000 in 1994 to same guy, Norris Lightsey. I don't know why he bought back his own property. Haven't figured it out yet. Okay. Then we scroll up, and in 2001, Bullware buys the property for $60,000 and then transfers it over at $1 to another family member, another Buller.
JM and Barrett, right? They're the two that it's always transferred between Barrett, and then Barrett gives it to JM.
For $1 or $5.
Mm-hmm.
So then he then sells it for $5 to Murdaugh. Right? Now, if this doesn't remind you, and I'm going to take you guys off topic for 1 second. Does anybody know the Jeffrey Epstein story?
Yes.
Les Wexner. So Les Wexner is the guy who owns the L Corporation. He owns Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, like thousands, but he's a billionaire, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is the one who got Jeffrey Epstein worked for him and worked his money, if you will.
Yes.
Okay?
You know, I know about this one, Tia. We've talked about it.
So this is the same type of situation. So Lex Wexner gave Epstein the multi-million-dollar brownstone in New York.
Right.
For $1. Same thing. That's what we have going on here. I just want to, no connection to Epstein. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying this is the same type of situation, if you will. If you know that story.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going.
Oh, no, go right ahead. It's the same just type of situation. I was trying to relate it to people who, if you know that story, you know this one.
And then at least for every property that we've looked at, and this is just in Maggie's name at this point that we've that we're looking at and talking about, the 8 properties in her name in Colton County which would be where Moselle is. All of those follow the same pattern of who it was. It goes Buller, whatever
Yeah,
they
Buller.
are. The Bull family.
Bullshit.
It goes from the Bull family to Murdaugh each time.
Which, if you know the bullers, whatever you want to call them, bullshit. They were
tight with
cocaine
Buster.
movers.
Mm-hmm. And
They were
tight
what?
with.
Say that again.
They were the drug people.
Mm-hmm.
They're
So,
the
and they
movers
were
and
the
the
ones,
shakers.
and they were close with
I did delete them.
Buster Senior. So, Buster's great granddad. So in the 1950s, when Buster got brought up on, federal charges for the bootlegging operation, he was able to get out of that scrape. And all the articles, when you read about it, they say very similar, and they call them their running buddies, the running buddies of the Murdaugh's running buddies, the Bulls, because they, in the 1980s, got out of escape that entailed drug trafficking. They got out of it because of.
Just saying.
That's when I'm.
So now we lost Brittany and we lost Mallory, but we have two of me and no, only one of me now, and two of LFT. Okay, good. We're totally surrounding Jen Lou here.
I'm coming back in. I was getting something to drink.
Yes, Delina, I did watch that, but I wanted to address, because I want to hear your thoughts on this too. What do you think? And I have questions on this too. The ring, her wedding ring, found in the Mercedes. Tell me all of your thoughts, Jen Lou. I want to hear from chat too. What are your thoughts there?
It's quite curious to me because, particularly the circumstances, how it was discovered. I mean, it came back from the freaking sled impound. Weren't they supposed to be going through that thing with? I mean, what were they doing? And it wasn't like in a secret cubby or anything like that. It was
under the seat, right?
Under the seat, and all Blanca had to do was just scooch the seat back because she was vacuuming, for Pete's sake, which that's another thing. I'm curious why she would. How dirty could the vehicle have been that she needed to? Why did it always interests me, the series of events that Randy Murdaugh becomes involved in. So Randy is who called her and said, "Oh, hey, we're going out of town or whatever. Do you think you this is above and beyond, in my opinion, but do you think you could swing by the impound lot and pick up Maggie's car?"
Yeah, it doesn't. It's.
And why Blanca felt like she needed to clean it. Clean it for what? I don't know.
How long was that car in impound? Did they use that car for the funeral? I have a specific question about this.
Okay, I know it was a week, is what Blanca testified to. A week. And I'm not accusing Blanca of anything. I mean, if your
Blanca's
boss
done a lot of cleanup for these people.
Well, wait,
right.
Hold on. Tinsley technically owns the Mercedes, her 2021 Mercedes. That's going to be signed over to. Well, I think it has been, because this article was from January of last year, of 2022. Because this breaks down the settlement, even down to the sale of the Moselle property. But it says in here literally that the Mercedes, that Maggie's 2021 Mercedes SUV will be signed over to Tinsley, who is authorized to sell the car and disperse the proceeds to his clients, who include the Beach family. The Tinsley said he valued the used vehicle at $75,000.
The reason I ask about the funeral, and because I went through this myself, so this is what it occurred to me. No, I didn't go back to the whole Chris Watsy hit it in no. Actually, I went back to, I wondered if that was the vehicle they drove to the funeral, because after the funeral, they give you the jewelry. And did he haphazardly throw it in the car, throw it in a cup holder, it fell on the floor, whatever? That's why I'm asking. I'm trying to make sense of irrational things, which I know is not what we do, but it's where
Well,
my
you
head
got to
went.
try to look for a plausible,
Mhm.
reasonable explanation for it. And if,
Typically, you're
no,
not buried in jewelry, so they'll take the jewelry and give it to you after the
I'm trying to
funeral.
remember about my mom.
That's what I
I
was
just
doing.
went. I mean, I went through this with my father-in-law and my dad, so we had
I
to go back
believe you. I'm just,
after. It's just interesting to me because I was like, was that the vehicle they used? Maybe he haphazardly, and I'm trying to make excuses for things that I really don't know.
I
And
don't
I
know
don't
what
like
happened to my mom's jewelry now that I'm thinking about it. I don't think she had any on when she passed away.
yeah.
I know she was buried though. She was buried with my my grandmother's, my dad's mom, my nana, her rosary.
See, okay.
Well, not buried. She was cremated, but
Cremated, right, right.
But
They
that was
asked
important to her.
C-Star, thank you. They asked the family about jewelry. That's what I was under the impression too, which is why, to me, it would make sense that it was in the car.
But I don't think that's what happened,
That
because this is why, now that I'm thinking about it,
tell me.
I distinctly remember the female sled officer. She sat behind Alec in the police vehicle when he gave his little whatever, his interview. She is the one that took possession of Maggie's car, and it was immediate. And it sat at that impound lot for a week. And then Blanca went and got it, cleaned it. And so I suppose the cleaning makes sense if Tinsley was getting it. Maybe that was something they already knew.
That could be it, because
that's okay. Thank you.
Okay, so that could make sense, and that would be why they need to be getting that in order, because they even knew. All right, continuing to look at this article, it says, so then according to the settlement, so this is more of the breakdown.
Okay, wait. Just wait. I have to, just for clarity. Sorry, LFT. I hate to get you off topic. When was this article written, and what's the date of the settlement? Because those are important.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So this article is, it's a Fitz one. It's the, hold on, let me make sure, because I had to copy and paste them into a Word document because I was out of black ink, so I had to make it all navy. Hold on one second. I'm making sure that it's the right. Okay. So, this is the judge okays the settlement in Mallory Beach lawsuit. Buster Murdaugh dropped as defendant. This one was from January 24th, 2023. And this settlement, so the circuit court, Daniel Hall approved a settlement in the wrongful death lawsuit filed by the Mallory Beach the family of Mallory Beach. The lawsuit that accused Murdaugh's youngest son, Paul, of piloting the boat while drunk. The settlement will result in Paul's brother, Buster, and the estate of his mother, Maggie, dropped as defendants from the lawsuit. The settlement is being mostly funded by the sale of Moselle, the Murdaugh's hunting property, which was under contract for $3.9 million, according to Tinsley. The settlement leaves Murdaugh and Gregory Parker, the owner of Parker's convenience store, as the main remaining defendants. The case is expected to go to trial. The case is expected to go to trial in August. The settlement was approved on January 19th. And it says in a court filing for Murdaugh's trial on charges for Maggie and Paul's. Murdaugh's trial on charges he murdered Maggie and Paul began this week, and prosecutors say the wrongful death lawsuit played a key role in Murdaugh's alleged motive to murder his wife and son. Creighton Waters has said that litigation following the crash threatened to expose an alleged web of lies that Murdaugh built to hide a decade of financial crimes. Buster was named in the lawsuit because he allegedly allowed Paul to use his driver's license to buy the alcohol on the night of the boat crash. According to the settlement, $530,000 from the sale of Moselle will go to Buster. The Beach family, in quotes, the Beach family feels like Buster had suffered enough and it was important to get Buster out of the lawsuit. Tinsley told, this is from the state, the local paper. Roughly $700,000 will go to settle the various outstanding debts and legal claims of Maggie's estate, but the balance will go to Tinsley on behalf of the Beach family and 2 other survivors of the boat crash, Morgan Daltrey and Miley Altman. The terms of the settlement will divide up the proceeds of the sale. Other beneficiaries include John Marvin for personal funds that he advanced to the state, so he gets $12,305 back. $6,511 go to Laura Jones, the creditor. $25,000 to resolve an outstanding creditor claim held by Palmetto State Bank, of all banks. $100,000 goes to Connor Cook to release a claim he has made against Buster, so he's getting $100,000. $275,000 for the court-appointed receiver's account, and $290,000 to settle Maggie's estate's legal expenses. John Marvin, who represented the estate, agreed to waive his fee as a gesture of good faith. The 2021 Mercedes, and that's what it stopped with. So they're already, they're making movement in terms of settling some of the parts of the lawsuit at this point. It reads like. Am I the only one that thinks that might? I could be wrong, but
no, So John Marvin is representing Maggie.
He was. When did they appoint him over to her estate? It was on. Yes, he was. So he was the one who represented the estate. And I'm looking to see right now on the timeline. Hold on. I do know, like Alec Buster was made power of attorney for Alex's estate on September 16th of 2023. No, 2022. Sorry. Wow. This is crazy. And then Buster acting as POA. Sorry. I thought it was in Buster's, and then they switched it over to John Marvin at some point.
I just find that so bizarre. His brother, that John Marvin, who is Alec Murdaugh's brother, would be handling Maggie's estate.
I
guess it fits with the fact that they're testifying for Murdaugh.
I'm looking to see. I knew it was in here somewhere. I could have sworn they switched it over. But yeah, no, John Marvin, it's a member of the Murdaugh that's representing her estate.
But don't you think that's odd? He stands accused of murdering her. And yet they have his. I don't know. It just doesn't.
You notice that
I don't think I could do it.
They used John Marvin and not Randy.
Okay. Remember the Friday before I was on y'all's live, on y'all's panel, I was on Kate's.
Right.
And she had that document that it was Randy. It was changed from not Randy. It was changed from Alec's dad to Alec being, and then it got, and that was just a cross out. Y'all, this ain't right. Something about this shit is not right. What is it what's that saying? The milk ain't clean.
The milk ain't clean.
Wait a minute. Hold on though. On August 27th of 2021, so after Paul and Maggie are killed, Alex waives his right to become the personal representative for Paul's estate. He requests that Randy be appointed. Randolph becomes personal. He becomes, and then Randy on August 31st became personal representative of Randy, the grandfathers, or their dad's trust on August 31st.
When was Alec arrested?
Oh, the same day that November. Wait,
September?
arrested.
Am I lying? Was it September?
Right, September or October.
I thought it was September.
October 14th. He was arrested in Florida, and then on November 4th, the same day that Alex's and Buster's assets are frozen, Alec and Eddie are indicted.
Okay. So he moved things into his brother's name before he even was arrested. But to be fair, just for 1 second, that could be because he did it when he was going into rehab.
Well,
that's actually an interesting thought, but I don't know if I believe it. I mean, I think that's an excuse. I don't know if I believe
it.
Well,
right. I'm just saying that,
that's actually a really good thought, though.
He was getting shit in line. I think he knew it was coming, which is why he dipped to rehab, which is why they arrested him outside of the rehab.
That was so awkward. Yes.
Wait a minute. Do you know that Randy sued Alec for $46,500, and then $90,000 minus the 43 Lear and Kubota tractor and rotary cutters? What? In October?
Is that because remember he got the check for Randy instead of? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Is that what that's for? I'm asking because I.
Oh yeah, because then on October 29th, Alec files a confession of judgment admitting he owes Randy $90,000.
Okay, because there was like 2 checks written.
Yeah.
First
okay.
was quote unquote lost and voided.
Mm-hmm.
They wrote the second check. He cashed the second check, waited a year, and then went back and cashed the first check.
Correct.
Okay.
So this whole time they're moving stuff around the entire time.
Yes. Always.
Something's always being moved.
That's what I was going to tell you. Look at the screen. This is just one. What this is that I'm showing you is Moselle.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Moselle property here. It starts in 1776.
That's the year that the United States was right. That's
the July 4th. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that year was correct.
July.
So 4th the minute we have a country and some fucking paperwork, here they go filing shit. Okay.
The Murdaughs have been here since the beginning of time. That we've been.
They'd like to think so. So as you can see, it's been transferred over and over and over again till it gets to this Don Houck. And Don Houck finally sells it in 2000 for some coin, but then it's to Buller, wherever. And then look at it's $1, $5, $1, $5. And this is the exact,
it's the same thing for every property.
I can pull this up. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And we're talking, I want to show you something. I'm sorry for making you guys dizzy, but
no, you're fine.
Here's the lean. Does everyone know what a lean-to is? The lean-to is the shed, the area that Maggie was found close to. They call it a lean-to. The barn, as you can see, everything's assessed here, and they paid $5 for it. Now,
and then I think they use that same PO box though for her as the main owner. That's the same one used each time.
Let me go back and show you another one. Margaret B. There's another one.
Isn't that a little sus? Like that's more than. I mean, unless these are just small town.
There you go.
I mean, something doesn't smell quite right.
Mm-mm.
So wait, then Alec gave it to Maggie for $5 with love and affection. And what you do, let me just show you this neat little trick. This fun little trick here. I'm going to share this tab now. Is once you start deep diving and going into all this stuff, you get to read this fun and interesting. This isn't the one, but it actually says in here, oh, there it is. I'm sorry. With love and affection, $5.
Wow.
Know all men by these presents that Richard Alexander Murdaugh Sr. referred to as grantor in the aforesaid county aforesaid in consideration of the sum of $5 and love and affection.
I mean, I think
they don't all say the love and affection, did they? I could have sworn they didn't. Maybe they do.
I mean, this is not that uncommon, but to pass property from, in between family, but to continue to do it like all this, like over and over and over every few years is odd to me. Something is definitely sus about that. It would be one thing. The fact that it's being passed between two families is what's odd to me. It'd be different if it was passed down over the years to, through the same family. That would be like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense, right? That's
right.
Not like highly suspicious, but the fact that it's being passed back and forth between two families that is suspicious.
Here's another one. And what I find interesting about this is there's your Boulwares who actually paid money, initially from the hookers, paid money, $225,000. Then, of course, he's got to do his thing to Barrett's got to give it to JM for $1. And then Alec purchases this for $500,000. Do you see? But then gives it to Maggie, puts it in Maggie's name.
And he bought all these in 2013, I think.
Well, I think that the first time it's mentioned in this trial about his financial misdeeds, I think the earliest date was 2010. So, oh man, this is a mess.
And I thought something even weirder is that this is Colton County, and here's her 8 properties here that she to this day owns. There ain't another Murdaugh. I mean, there's a lot of Murdaughs here in this county, but not any that. Dox all these people either, but it's public record. Not any related to the immediate family there. You want to talk about that? They're not. No John Marvins in Colton. Now I can't get Hampton yet because, like I said, we're gonna go and deep dive that one. But it's interesting to me to go through all these and look at how many Murdaughs are in there, and none of them are actually Alec, John Marvin, Rand. But none of them. It's just Maggie.
Makes you wonder, don't it?
A little bit.
And which is why I'm glad that I had that. Oh, sorry.
I was about to say Jessica's thing, like I'd love to just like buy 1,700 acres for $5. And I was like, here, I thought I could only use $5 at Five Below. Like I never thought about going to buy
property.
Yeah. Like
Well,
instead of going
especially
to Five Below, I'm gonna go to the realtor. Like that never once entered my mind.
farming land, and I know.
But what's interesting, I mean, it's like that's not uncommon. All right. So I bought a car from my dad.
Mhm.
Okay. But I bought it way cheap. And so the way that, you know, we did something similar, and I ended up having to pay a gift tax of like $20 or something like that. It wasn't all that much because it wasn't a big thing, which is what I suspect is going on here. You know what I mean? Like this is definitely a tax shelter. But how this continues to happen over and over and over, because let me just say this. This is the first year that I've earned income from YouTube, and it wasn't like a substantial amount, but let me not claim that income. And here comes the IRS. Now these jokers are doing all the things and, you know, not getting caught. Like it's crazy.
Can we talk about the Palmetto Bank $5 overdraft charge for $300,000?
I get charged like $20 if I go below it, like Bank of America. Like
Beg your pardon, $5?
For a $300,000. No,
excuse me, Palmetto.
500,000, 400,000.
Let me think.
What happened?
I think it was $347,000 almost that he was in the hole. And what's interesting about it is he had other accounts at that bank, and they didn't take any money from those accounts. Like, you know, when you have two accounts at a bank and you're overdrawn, they don't let your other accounts be staying positive. They take the balance of the positive account. And yes.
Yeah. But see, so that's where the Lafitte's and that other guy come into play then? Right? That ties him why he did stuff with those banks, because he had the connections to kind of get away with, you know, a slap on the wrist. Or am I wrong?
Say that again.
But in terms of the banks, like getting the 500, you know, only being charged $5 for such a deficit in your account, you know,
right?
The banks that he was using, doesn't that tie into the other people that he was tied to, like the Lafitte's and then whoever it was?
At Palmetto, yes. At Palmetto, yes.
That's what I was thinking. So I was like, because doesn't that tie in like a whole nother factor of how they were able to kind of work around the system?
Right. See, and this was my argument the other night, is that nothing that Alec Murdaugh did was a solo mission, which is why look, could he have done the actual unaliving alone? Absolutely. He could have. It's totally doable. But where it gets sticky is in the hiding, removal of evidence. That is the part that I think that he had help with. I do. Because he needed an alibi. So who is a better alibi than your mama?
Right.
Who just also happens to be suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's and sleep.
And would not be called to testify.
No.
So then what do you do about that? Well, you've got somebody there's got to testify for you, right? Somebody's got to be your alibi. Your phone is great, but human beings are better, right? But they're not infallible. But you do need a character witness, somebody that's going to get up on the stand and say you're a great family. Who better to have do that than Miss Shelley? Do you think, I mean, what's interesting to me is there was no reason for him to be there that night. He wasn't called there. It isn't like the caretaker, he like sent a text or called the caretaker, right? And said, hey, Miss Shelley, how's my mom doing? And Miss Shelley said, hey, Mr. Murdaugh, well, your mom's really upset because, she, your dad's in the hospital and she's just having a rough time of it, right? And so he says, okay, I will, I'll come by. That's not what happened. He just showed up completely. She was not prepared for him, unannounced, uninvited, all those things, right?
Right.
So he boxed himself in because he had to, right? You've got to have an alibi. So I think he intentionally made this timeline as tight as he could make it and as verifiable as he could make it, both with eyewitnesses and electronics. He did not have time to get rid of those guns. I don't think he may have handed off the guns in that tarp or that poncho or whatever the hell it was, because he definitely didn't wear it during the unaliving because it didn't test positive for blood. Yeah. It fits in some kind of way, but I'm just not exactly sure how it fits in. But regardless, I think that fool had help. He's had help every step of the way. Well, he could not have done any of the things that he did at Palmetto Bank without Russell Lafee.
Yes.
Yeah. Could have never happened. Can I give? I just wanted to piggyback something you just said about visiting his mom, because I do agree. What gets me about that, there's two things about this. The whole thing about going to visit the parent initially, that even to go see him that night, that's why he wanted Maggie to come was to go see his dad.
Correct.
And that's even what the family group, text message was about, like anyone going, the next day. Okay. So mind you, remember, like that was his whole, at least according to her messages with people and what we've heard, is that her purpose of coming to Moselle that night was because of Alec wanted her to, because of, the stuff going on with his dad. Okay. So she comes. His reason was to get her to come because of going over stuff and going with him to see her dad, he didn't even swing by he never mentions it again. Never says anything about, he goes to see his mom, but not his dad. Why wouldn't you even try to take Maggie with you if her whole purpose was, in coming?
Right. Why go at 9:00 in the evening when visiting hours are likely over?
Not only that, on office, so that kills me that he forgets the whole dad thing and what they kind of had planned. Then he forgets that when you're talking to the cops that night, when they arrived in response to your 911 call, they're recording this shit. So he tells Officer Green that put this in our spreadsheet. So this is in the notes section, Jen, like you said, like I had this one in here, because he said he had been at his mom's. He later told Officer Green he'd been at his mom's house for around an hour and a half and had last seen Paul and Maggie about 45 minutes before that. That's Green's testimony and his body cam. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, so then he shows up the next day to tell Miss Shelley, oh, hey, by the way, how's your wedding going? I'd like to help you pay for that. And just, if the cops happen to show up here, I was here for about, 30 to 45 minutes.
Or right after the funeral or whatever that was. Right after the funeral.
Right. Whatever.
The same woman who was crying on stand saying how sincere and wonderful they were. I was like, oh, Lord, lady, please help me. Help me get to where you are, because I am not there.
Well, I think there were a lot of factors up on that stand that day for poor Miss Shelley. There was a lot of things going on, a lot of undercurrent.
I agree.
I think it was easy for him to leave and go do that. He just needed to make sure he accounted for the time, and he knows that route like the back of his hand. It's like all of us in small, I drive some of the roads around here, like no lights, it's dark, the back roads. You just know know the route, you go do it, you go sit for a few minutes, and then you turn around and you come back.
Well, this is why I believe that he had help. Alec is not a dumb man on any level. He is intelligent, okay? And the thing about it is, he knew that he was going to have to be the person who found the bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, which would automatically make him a suspect because you start inward and you work outward, right?
Mm-hmm.
You start with the person who found the bodies. Plus, let's be honest, statistically speaking, it's usually somebody close. So he can't take the risk of having the murder weapons anywhere in his vicinity. And that is where I think Cousin Eddie comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Cousin Eddie is the one that got rid of the guns. That's what I think. That's the help I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he had inadvertent help. I think that SLED, when they arrived on that scene, they were quite puzzled. Similar to the way that they were puzzled when they arrived on the scene at Stephen Smith's.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I digress. We'll just talk about one case at a time because that one's around a whole other rabbit hole. But they didn't treat him as a suspect. Because had they treated him as a suspect, they would have treated that entire property, including the house,
Mm-hmm.
as a crime scene.
Crime scene.
And they would not have allowed Blanca in that house. They wouldn't have allowed anybody in that house.
No.
And the fact of the matter is that the entire time that Alec is talking and giving interviews, he's also on the phone with people.
Yes, the
getting
whole
them
time.
there. Even in the car. He takes a call in the middle of an interrogation.
I wanted to
Interview.
kick him in the nuts for what he said about CB Rowe, just throwing him in there like that.
Yes.
I don't care what you think about him. I know his past isn't that great, but like in terms of like throwing someone under a bus real fast, like just with no shame, like just easy. And he's not worried. He's not worried about being on that property at that point. There's no fear of anyone coming back.
No.
Barely.
And then he calls, bless his heart, Will Loving to the scene.
Oh God.
But then says, don't let Buster up here. He does many contradictory things.
He's the epitome of a sloppy criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's
he's
the thing.
Unorganized.
Well, right, but he's never. But that's the thing. I maintain, honest to God, I do. Why would you have Cousin Eddie involved in your insurance fraud scam? What would make you think that Cousin Eddie is somebody that you could trust?
He's been paying him for years. He's been paying him
because he's been doing that's my point. He's been doing other shit for him. This was not an act. This wasn't just, who can I think of? And he's running through the files, the Rolodex in his brain, and Cousin Eddie pops out. He wasn't random.
Mm-mm.
It wasn't random. And the fact of the matter is, he lied then too. He lied about the description of the person.
Yes, on purpose.
The description, exactly. Of course he did. But my point is that when you're trying to get somebody, when you want to commit a crime, and insurance fraud definitely is a crime, but the only way you do it is to also have a violent situation occur, i.e., getting shot, right? You don't want to take. You're not trying to get caught, right? So you go to somebody you know is reliable, somebody that has helped you out before. In a situation like this, it's different. It'd be one thing if Cousin Eddie did a few errands or something like white collar here and there for him. But I wouldn't want somebody I would not hire a roofing contractor to fix my AC. You know what I'm saying? So why would I involve Cousin Eddie in doing something of this magnitude? If he can't be relied on, that's not the time to take a chance. And I suspect that Cousin Eddie has been wrapped up in more than one, but for sure with Maggie and Paul.
So I have a quick question for you.
Okay.
Um,
Am I making sense?
yes,
Okay.
1,000%. And yes, yes. So, in speaking of Cousin Eddie and perhaps getting rid of the weapons, do you
Okay.
think Cousin Eddie got rid of the shoe? No, not the shoes and the shirt as well, but then
Yes.
but then leaves the rain jacket for Alec to take care of, and he puts it in a very obvious place. Does that make sense?
Well, it doesn't make sense. But my thing is that I don't think that Alec ever intended for them to do any type of search at his parents' home. I don't think he counted on this, because you got it sort of like, we're not dealing with an average circumstance here with it's because he has such a close relationship and involvement with law enforcement. And so his way of thinking is far different. That's why when Harpootlian got up there and said they treated him like a suspect from jump, I like to just crack up laughing. Like,
No,
listen. No, they didn't. But that's what he said.
They even admitted that.
Except for that. But that was in Harpootlian's opening statement. They had tunnel vision. No, they didn't.
Actually, Jeanne, can I ask a question? I've been meaning to ask this, and I asked Tia this the other night. Sorry, squirrel. Okay.
I know, because I want to go. I have another question to follow up. So.
Okay, sorry.
I'm going to write it down.
Do you think that, you know how, speaking of them, like how they were presenting Alec at the beginning, remember, it's kind of like they were pushing the opioid, his addiction issues as a big reason for this, potentially, maybe. Like, that's where the mental issues, like, don't work. It's this horrible addiction. What do you think it does to the defense when half the people up there get up there and going, I had no freaking idea, would have never guessed it. He never showed, other than being distracted, having, that multitask kind of personality where you're,
ADD.
how they
right, a little ADD.
Yeah, but no one was like, I know, right? Like, I was worried at one point. No one freaking knew. So does that help their, like, I feel like they shot their, like, kind of stepped on their own toes.
I think it was a mistake, because there is a such thing as a functioning addict. There's lots of them. People, do it all the time. But the thing about it is that everybody has, I don't know another way to say it, but your slip is showing. And anybody that's every functioning addict has had a slip show moment. And I think, first of all, it depends on, like, what pills they're saying that he was on. I've not heard them actually come out and specifically say which opiate he was prescribed, because different opiates do different things, right? And this is the other thing that people don't know about, and I didn't either until so whenever I had my C-sections, after I had my C-sections, they would prescribe me hydrocodone, and they made me sleepy. But when I hurt my back, before I had but when I was in determining whether I was going to have the surgery or not, okay, I got prescribed hydrocodone, and I was hyper on it. It gave me energy. And what I learned is that there is a difference between chronic pain and acute pain, and the way that your body will respond to an opiate under those circumstances. So for me, hydrocodone at one point made me sleepy, but when I had it for my back pain, which was chronic, it made me hyper. And so I think people are expecting Alec to be like on the nod, right? But I don't think he would have been if he had chronic injury. And he had, because let's be fair. To be fair to Alec, it's very, very likely and probably very probable that what occurred is what occurs with so many people, that he had an injury, a chronic injury, and he was given pain medication. And your body, because of what's in pain medication, your body becomes dependent on it after, I think, if you take it consecutively for like, I don't know, 10 days, everybody's a little different, give or take.
Listen,
right?
I can talk about this. I'm willing to talk about this. I had double knee replacement surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to that, because I was really young, they wouldn't do the surgery because it only lasts a few, 20 years or so before they have to replace them again. And they didn't want to have to replace it when I was 60. So they were trying to keep me going with, therapy and all, anything they could throw at my knees, they threw at them. Finally, it was oxycodone, which did help, but didn't ultimately get rid of the pain anymore.
Right.
Had the surgery, of course, still had the, and this was probably 6 months prior to the surgery. Had the surgery, maybe it was a year before. Had the surgery, and after the surgery, your body takes, that's a hell of a surgery to have. First of all, it takes a full year. They lie. They're fucking liars. Oh, 3 months you'll be up walking around. No, you're not. You're not. You may be walking, but you're in pain. And you're still taking the oxy. Well, then I realized come December, which was a year after my surgery, I was still taking the oxy. Not so much because I was in pain, but it was 4:00 and I needed to get some things done. And it was the only way I could do things was like to take now, did I take 14 a day? No, I took 2, maybe 3 a day. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I still realized at 4:00, it's time to take my medicine, but I didn't really need it anymore. And that was the day, I'll never forget, that was the day that I was like, I can never touch this stuff again. And
it sneaks up on you. You don't realize it. And there's a reason you don't realize it. It has to do with your brain chemistry and all of that. So,
and it does make you sleepy when you need it, and it does give you energy when you don't.
See, for me, hydrocodone never, once I had back pain, once I started taking it for back pain, it never made me sleepy again. In fact, it never, I never got tired on it ever again. But my point to saying all of this is that I think if Alec were anything, I think that he would be a functional addict. However, I have to say that when they read that text that he had sent out, and I think it might have been to Chris Wilson, and he described it as having the flu. No. I've detoxing off, and I don't know, maybe if it's because he was given something to safely detox. I just know that when I stopped taking hydrocodone, I just white knuckled it. I would not, and I don't recommend it.
That's right. I just stopped.
I would not describe what I felt as flu-like symptoms, but I'll say this. The hardest thing I ever had to get off of was not hydrocodone. It was Xanax. Xanax makes you pray for death. Like when I was getting off of it, like by the third day is when the withdrawals are real bad. If you can get through a week, you're okay. But by like the third or fourth day, I was like, oh my God, just take me now. I'm done. I don't even want to, I can't feel like this anymore. And that
was smoking for me. 3 days, 3 months, 3 years.
Clean for long time from that.
Do you think the defense would, do you think the defense, I'm assuming they're on the balls of their feet enough. Would that be how they roll with it, though, that they convey him to be a high functioning addict? Like, how do they?
I don't know, because I can't think of right this minute, maybe I will in a little while, but right this minute, I can't think of a way to spin this, because I'll say this, their other line of questioning had a lot to do with Alec and his emotional state surrounding Maggie and Paul's death. And you have what they have elicited on cross is really a person who is quite adept at compartmentalizing, which you would want the state to elicit that from testimony, but not the defense. And inadvertently, the defense has done that because they'll, nobody knew he had a drug problem, right? Which means that he's quite good at hiding and keeping secrets. Nobody knew that he was stealing all this money from the firm and from clients. They're not painting through their own line of questioning a very good picture of their client. And maybe it's because they're salty as fuck. They know they're not going to get any money because he's got liens everywhere. Who knows what their deal is? I can't figure it out.
I feel like Harp right now is like in his head just planning every appeal possible. Like
he's trying. That's why he stood up. I want a mistrial, Your Honor. Okay, Poop, sit down. There's no need for a mistrial. People were asking.
I texted Tia that the other day, and she was like, "What are you talking about?" Because I literally go, "Oh my God, is he seriously going out? Like, I'd like to move for a mistrial." Like,
yes, he was. And then, do you know how many people in the law and crime chat were saying that the bomb threat was a potential reason for a mistrial? No, it ain't. If it were, Daryl Brooks would have tried to file for a mistrial.
Mm-hmm.
As if that was the first bomb threat they've had.
Okay,
right.
Well, I read, I think I did subscribe to Fitz as well, Jen.
Okay.
So I read the article about the family getting a warning about their behavior in court.
And I had not seen that.
Yes. Okay, so the Murdaugh family got a warning for their behavior in court. And you want to know what the irony of it is that it's not who I thought it was going to be that was going to be called out.
Who?
Randy and John Marvin have been very cooperative. They said that if they even need to give up their seats, because they've been asked to sit, they cannot sit right behind Alec anymore. That's why they keep having, I think now I'm starting to understand why, like they'll have Buster stand
the shuffle?
Yes, because they're moving them further back because one is from the article, it was this week, saying actually it's not, the issue was people trying to hand stuff to Harp to essentially give to Alec. Like there have been signs of that. And then it turns out apparently it's Lynn, according to an inside
his sister.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the problem. And the only other thing that they referenced was that it's the middle finger Buster.
Oh, Buster.
But I think that, whether it was intentional or not, I don't really care. But those were the two things. But no, it wasn't rain. Like John Marvin seems to be the one kind of, he's either got me totally fooled or I kind of feel.
Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on John Marvin.
But so far, I'm either like he's either just as brilliant in terms of manipulating as Alec is, or he's just trying to do the right thing. And
he does seem a little like the black sheep of the family.
Well, he opened those two companies, like equipment rental companies, and I think that kind of took off. But then I started looking about how the rental equipment companies tie into some of the LLCs and companies that are similar to other. But John Marvin was very apologetic, apparently, or just more than willing. Like he did not care
to do what needed to do.
Yeah, he said whatever needed to be done that they would do. But apparently it's his sister. Like it was Lynn.
Bless it.
That they were either having trying to pass a note or something to him through the attorneys, or touching him, like I guess how you're not supposed to, like when he's walking out, like it was just too cordial, if you will, or like no, being treated like a Murdaugh, getting away, being able to kind of do what they wanted to do. Yeah. I was going to ask if y'all had seen that because I had no idea that that they had been asked, that the family had been asked to adjust their behavior.
I don't either, but I'll say I'm kind of shocked about that. But I'll say this: I don't understand the purpose of having somebody identify Buster and then telling Buster to stand up before the person has identified them. It's that would be like them, the state asking for their witnesses, which they do, ask them to do you see Alec Murdaugh in the courtroom? Would you point him out by what he's wearing? And they have Alec stand up. That's not an identification.
No.
That's not a valid identification. I'll never understand that. And by the way, I don't know what Buster was and the girlfriend, for Pete's sake.
I was saying, to have Brooklyn stand up, I would have been like, the hell I am.
I would be
I'm
like,
not on
"Hey,
trial."
listen, Brooklyn, I don't want to tell you your business, young lady, but he ain't wifed you up yet, and you've been through a gang of shit with this family, and you ain't got that ring. I would dip. I'm sorry. At this point, I would just dip. There's nothing in it for you. I know that, but isn't it, when you were reading that article about the settlement, et cetera, again, it all ended up working out the way that Alec wanted to, with Buster getting everything. That's what he wanted. That was the purpose and intent of the insurance fraud, was for Buster to get it. And now Buster has it. And then P.S., he's been dropped from the fucking lawsuit in the
That's
first
what I was
place.
going to ask you. Tinsley did drop the lawsuit against Buster, correct?
So tell me again that Alec didn't think about that when he did what he did with Paul and Maggie. That's what I keep trying to get people to understand, is that it's not about putting anything off. He was only ever going to be able to delay the confrontation at work. That's it. Yep. But Tinsley was a dog with a bone, and he was going to keep coming.
Well, he said he wouldn't. He's like he said at the very beginning when it happened, if they had looked at stuff and it really looked like this is a horrible, horrible tragedy that's happened, not like another move in this game,
right?
Quote unquote, for lack of a better word. He said if they had thought that, or there was proof of that, they would have dropped this, because they just said no, just like they did Buster. Like we're not doing this because it's
exactly
too much.
He is a sympathetic defendant in this scenario.
But he said once he realized that it was essentially when he realized that what he was saying was bullshit, he was like, no, he's lying. And no, we're not.
Exactly. But that's what the purpose was. And the thing that irritated me so much about Tinsley's testimony is when he was testifying in front of the judge, that is, I didn't think about that element of Alec's personality and him knowing that as a personal injury attorney. I didn't think about him doing this in an effort to suddenly become a sympathetic defendant. I didn't think about that. But Tinsley is the one that testified to it, and it clicked, and it put it all together for me. And all that grandstanding and showboating, frankly, that he did on the stand this week was unnecessary. If he would have testified exactly the way he testified in front of the judge, the jury would have gotten it like I got it. They would have understood it.
Letdown for me, because he came in so strong, balls to the walls. I was all, I mean, I even wrote in your chat, like, call me Mrs. Tinsley. Like, I love this guy.
Yeah.
And then yesterday I was like, damn it.
He was a totally different person.
He was a lawyer.
Thank you. He came across as every bad lawyer joke there is. And it was annoying. And it was unnecessary. He should have, if he had done that in front of Judge Newman, it wouldn't have been a big deal. The testimony was reversed. He should have testified in front of the jury the way he testified in front of Judge Newman. And the jury would have gotten it. They would have then connected those dots.
Yeah. But I still think.
Go ahead.
I still think if Actually, go ahead, because let me rethink that. That was jumbled. You were still thinking. I still think.
I think that the jury, I'm hopeful that the jury is going to be able to connect the dots as far as motive goes. But what is sorely lacking is a cohesive presentation of the forensic evidence in this case. And by the way, the the state is set to rest on Wednesday, and we haven't even heard from a freaking medical examiner.
I don't think they're going to rest Wednesday. I think that was.
I don't think they will either, but let's just say they do.
I don't think they can. They have so many more witnesses.
I don't think they can either.
Now
I'm very
I think that
curious.
was bullshit to get.
I think it was a dig at Harpootlian.
It was.
If I'm being fair.
That it was to shut him up because he said, "Dad, they're taking too long. What's the point? We want to do our side." It's like, no, buddy. You sit and wait your turn like everyone else does.
Y'all knew what this was going to be like. I mean,
he's just being a whiny baby. And
he's doing what I can't get too angry at Poot because he's doing what his job is. What I can't quite figure out, though, is why they continue to let the door opener handle the cross-examination. It's Jim Griffin that got this, that said what he said and ultimately got the financial crap let in. And why keep letting him do the cross-examination?
Because
Harp's
going to let him think himself, and then come in. He's going to
try to save the day.
Yeah, or like he detaches and he's like, "Well, he ruined it for us. I'm handling the next steps or the appeal or whatever." Because I think he's that calculated too, where he's going to look out for, well, in terms of professionally in his reputation. I think he would say, if this is going downhill, like I'm going to let him take that lead of the reason why it's going downhill and then separate myself from it and come back. Like, I think that's a part of it, but I just wonder very much about how as much as the prosecution does have some hurdles in front of them in terms of presenting and closing out this case and making their point. But to a certain degree, I think the same of the defense as well, because they've spun this as this like amazing person that's a privilege, like what Tia you say when they're like, it's a privilege to represent Alec Murdaugh. Like, he's this great person, a great family man. He would never he didn't get anything out of Paul and Maggie's death. Why would this, man who's been a pillar of the community do everything?
Right.
And he's had this horrible addiction you all don't know about. Like, how they haven't pulled that all together yet, because they've got enough now, like in front of them, that's like painting it. You are shining a stained portrait. Like, it's not
exactly
quit highlighting this stuff, because it's
what they need to be spending their time what they need to be trying to spend their time getting around is that video. The fact of the matter is, every witness that was friends with that family for a long period of time has been asked about that video and whose voices they hear on that video. And they're going to have a damn hard time trying to get past that.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
The first one's for chat, because I'm really interested to know. Put a 1 in chat, please, if you don't mind. If you'd be so kind to put a 1 in chat. If you're currently watching the trial, are you guys watching? Like, are you paying attention to the trial? Like, is this something that you watch on the daily? I'm curious, because I know I am.
I am, but I can't. I used to stream. I do, Sharon. I do the breakdown every day after the trial at the end of at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, we're going to link Jen Liu's channel here. It's called the Ward Case Studies.
So, by the way, Jeanne, my message right then to chat it, like, how amazing would that be? Chat it out daily. I meant, sorry, I was not negating you. I meant, I love doing these big group discussions. So I was like,
Me too.
like doing it like this, like it's so.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I didn't take any offense to
Okay,
that.
so-
It's so hard to offend me. You know, it's you gotta really try to get me offended. I usually don't pay, I'm not like I'm not that.
You've proven that to me that you don't. No, you handle your crap and you really don't get offended. And if there's an issue, you go and confront it.
Exactly. Yeah. I try.
Yeah.
Okay,
I used to stream I used to stream trials, but I quit doing it because it's a lot of work to do it, number one. And when you're doing it live, you're doing it, a lot of the people that watch my channel, they work. And the trials are going on during the workday. And it's hard to stream all day, then come live at night and do a recap. And I found that people were like more so enjoying the recaps than they were the streams. So although I do still plan, once cousin Eddie hauls his keister up to the stand, that I want to stream live, because he's the one that I want to hear from the most, because he's going to be a total hostile witness. Nothing he's testifying to is in his own best interest. In fact, it's not in his best interest to testify, but he's doing so anyway. But I'm curious about what questions he will actually answer. He is allowed to take the fifth.
Oh,
you're always allowed to. You're always allowed to take the fifth.
The way to turn it into like an episode of freaking Dallas, or remember that, if anyone remembers that old, like, not
I do,
popular, but Savannah. Remember that show called Savannah? Lasted.
Yes.
Like that's like what that would remind me of. Like he would get up here and this amazing, like weeping willows and all this stuff, and then this big person that has ties to this powerful family comes up and then is like expected to say spill the beans, and he's like, on advice of my attorney,
right,
I choose to exercise my First Amendment right.
Well, it's interesting what he's listed. He's in jail, and what it says, the reason he's in jail. It says for safekeeping. I've never seen that before. So it's very possible. I don't know if cousin Eddie has been sentenced or even gone to trial for the insurance fraud as it pertains to one Alex Murdaugh. So Murdaugh, it's possible he cut a deal. Who knows? We don't know. And
that's what I was wondering.
So then defense would have but the defense doesn't, that makes me, I want to hear from him, but it makes me nervous because that's an easy thing for the defense to poke holes at. He has
a reason to lie. That's the truth. However, the thing is, this happened with in the Wagner trial, George Wagner. So Jake and Angela, which is his mother and brother, testified against him. They turned state's evidence. They both got deals. And try as they might, the defense did poke holes in it. They said they have every reason to lie. Jake's deal is so that the death penalty is removed from himself and from his brother and from his father when his dad goes to trial. So Jake has a reason to lie. Angela has a reason to lie because she got cut a deal. Instead of life in prison, she got 35 years. So, but the thing is, what most people don't know about when somebody cuts a deal, they have to give their statement to the prosecutor before they even entertain a deal. And if they veer off at all from their statement, they always have it written in that it voids the plea deal that they're getting. So they can't change their testimony exactly. And they can't lie. So like there's a lot of times when they get a deal and they'll write it into the deal that if it comes out at any, at some later point that that what they testified to is not the truth, they'll void the deal. So,
and then you get, okay. So really,
I mean,
it's not worth it to lie. In a perfect
not really.
world. In a perfect world, it isn't worth it to lie.
No, it's not. And to be quite honest, like there's a difference between lying and a white lie.
Mhm.
Like a white lie would be, does this dress make me look fat?
No.
Well, no, it
not.
doesn't. It's not the dress that's making you look fat. It's the spare tire around your belly that's making you look
Oh my
fat.
God.
What are you blaming the fucking dress for?
I was
That
gonna
dress
say
didn't do anything.
it's the Dunkin' Donuts that you stop by
Right.
daily.
Right. Look, I can lie to myself. I can look in the mirror and be like, no, this outfit doesn't make me look fat, because the outfit doesn't. It's the nuts that I stored because Florida had a cold winter this winter. I'm working it off. It's no big deal. It's not that much, like maybe 6 or 7 pounds I got to get rid of. That's not that much. It's just harder. But that's not even really the point. It's real lying. Lying is hard work. First of all, the lie has to be believable, but the most important element to the lie is that you remember the lie.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's way too much energy to try to keep up with. I don't have the storage space in my brain to remember a lie. It's too full up with true crime shit and music lyrics. I can't. My compartments are full.
That's why he has to go back after the fact. That's why you have to go back and tell people like, oh, I hear you're getting married, or to Miss Simpson, poor, Miss Simpson, asking her to sit down. I'm worried. I'm really worried. There's a video. I'm sure you heard about this Snapchat video. Who does that?
Somebody who's trying to cover their ass.
Yep,
and somebody who has been able to silence people with money.
Yes.
That's who does that shit. He's used to it.
Okay,
he's used to covering up.
So while you're thinking about that,
yes,
I asked Tia Dash about this.
I like how you use her whole government name. I asked Tia Dash about this.
Always, it's like I'm in trouble every time.
Okay, so I asked Tia Dash this very serious question when I was screaming at her, I guess, the other day. Okay, I've noticed that the defense is making a point of kind of bringing up Maggie's family more this past couple of days. The Branstetters have been mentioned about, like, even Alex staying with them, or spending and I just kind of noticed all that. And do you think they're going to end up? I know they're on the defense only list, but do you think that they will end up? What's your take on them in that situation? And do you think they'll end up actually testifying and speaking up? Do you think that's kind of like something that the defense has in their back pocket, that they would be thinking they have in their back pocket to have Maggie's family, be a voice for Alec?
I will give you my opinion is yes, they will testify. Because first of all, Harpootlian and Griffin, although I can't get past the monumental mistake he made, which opened up the door to the financial stuff, but by and large, they're good attorneys. They know what they're doing, and I don't think that they're going to have anything really of substance to offer, but it's the optics of it. The fact that it is their daughter and their granddaughter or grandson that he is accused of murdering. Okay. And it's and her family is testifying for him and not for the state. The optics of that in front of the jury are frankly, I don't know a better word to say that than priceless. That's really what it boils down to. It's priceless that they're doing that. And so, I think that, I think Harpootlian is going to have him up there, and I think he's going to take full advantage of the optics that having them up there are going to give him. because it is going to be, I mean, I'm scratching my head about it. Why is her family testifying on his behalf?
Yeah.
The jury is going to do the same thing. They're
I've
going to
wondered
wonder.
that. I mean, I've wondered what his relationship was like in terms even before Maggie passed, before she was killed, like the relationship with the in-laws. But then to hear how the defense was bringing it in, like, oh, he and Buster immediately went with the Branstetters for, so many days, or whereas,
Yeah.
Chris Wilson's up there saying, I immediately am driving towards Katie because I'm figuring he's with John Marvin. Like he's just got, getting in the car going. Like, I feel like other people thought, expected him to be with his.
I think him being with his in-laws is quite calculated, if you want to know the truth of it. I think that I think he stayed there for selfish reasons. I think that he wanted to stay in their good graces. And it reminds me a lot of the Lacey Peterson case. Her family was staunchly on Scott Peterson's side until the affair came out. And then they were like, holy shit, this son of a bitch.
But, oh wait, hold on. I just had a really good question and it went right out. Wait, her family testifying.
Oh, hell.
Oh, shoot a monkey. Something about it being very calculated. Oh, how about the thing about having the little house where what's her name would go bring the clothes and toiletries, but they didn't use it. It's like a drop house where he wouldn't stay there, but he would get clothes, or got Miss Simpson to bring all the clothes, like certain clothes over, or toiletries.
But he never went back to Moselle. Isn't that weird?
And he never went back, and then has this one house where he's not, like, could stay in. They all own it. The boys own it, or one, they call it the little house. And he goes there to pick up clothes that people drop off.
His shit's there, but he doesn't sleep there.
Stay there. Yeah. See, that's weird. To me. That's weird.
It's weird, but what's even more, what I really wish that on redirect that they would have really hammered the situation with the clothes down more, because what Blanca was saying, and I hope the jury caught this, but there was a lot, because there was a lot of shenanigans in the courtroom that day. But what Blanca was saying is, I don't care, Mr. Harpootlian, how many pairs of khakis he had. I washed and took care of the clothes. So I don't care what kind of overnight slumber party bag he packed. In the end, I was going to go back over wherever he ended up staying, which it ended up being at the little house, or where his clothes were at. I would have gone to pick them up and clean them. So I'm aware. My knowledge is so extensive of his wardrobe that I even know, without there being tags on items, that these items are new.
Yes. And she was pretty adamant and confident in what she was retelling based on her experience.
Also, I would like to take a moment to point out how fucking insensitive it was of Alec Murdaugh to have Blanca over to the house on Moselle to clean up the day after Maggie was murdered. She obviously was close to her, close enough for it to upset her that so much she dropped the phone when she found out,
And then after the funeral, he asked her for $1,500 a week to stay out there.
Pays her to stay there. Why? To keep the lawn mowed? Why? Appearances.
I think
that's what matters.
Well, I also think there was another reason for that.
I think there was another reason too.
What do you think the other reason was?
Because okay. When I listened to Blanca's testimony, every job that she took was to the benefit for her children. She took different jobs or traded up in jobs. Maybe not, she didn't talk about income. She didn't leave jobs for more money. She left jobs for better insurance for her kids. And then she started, working with Alec, and then eventually ended up working with, in a housekeeping capacity.
Yeah.
And I think that continuing to keep her on like that keeps her, for lack of a better word, sort of under his thumb, because it's not like she won the lottery and she no longer needs to work. She still needs the income. So it keeps the power dynamic the same. He's still the boss, her boss. And Alec is keenly aware of how law enforcement works and how investigations work, and would know that anybody and everybody that was close to that family in their inner circle, which Blanca was going to be questioned. And I think that, I don't think that I just think I think he liked that power dynamic. And I think that keeping tabs, and he kept tabs on her in that way. He knew where she was. He knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
And
just how he could
kept
get the insurance call her for the insurance cards.
Correct. He kept her close.
Yep.
Because he wanted to keep an eye on her. And I think that's the reason, part of the reason he stayed with his in-laws, because Rogan said in front of the in-laws that he heard Alec's voice on the phone call, not that video, because he didn't get that video. That was never sent, but a phone conversation with him and Paul at a time when Alec shouldn't have been at the kennels. First and foremost, he said he was never out there that day. That's number one. But number two, it was during a time when he said he was napping. He shouldn't have been out there at all. And he said it in front of them, and yet they had no reaction. But Alec is cunning enough to know that just because they aren't saying anything in the immediate doesn't mean they're not thinking. And I think he wanted to know what they gauge. I think he wanted to gauge them. I think everything Alec did before, during, and after those murders was calculated. It was done with a purpose. That's what I think.
Confirming something.
Okay.
Was it 50? I thought it was 1,500 a week.
I literally was thinking the same because I couldn't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was because in my head I was like, oh, it's not bad to stay there and mow the grass. I'm pretty sure it was 1,500 a week.
I think you're right. I think it was. I think it was.
It would take them like what, 2 days to cut
2 days to
mow the lawn. I do think, but one way or another, they're being paid $1,500 by weekly or monthly, and so that's a nice.
They're still employed by the Murdaughs.
Yeah,
they're still on. Exactly.
They're still employed.
Yep, you still are. You're having cash revenue is coming from.
Which is the exact reason that he offered to help pay for Miss Shelley's wedding. Excuse me, weren't you telling through your attorney, Danny, to Tinsley that you were essentially broke? And you couldn't afford to, maybe you could cobble together $1 million, but you're offering to help Miss Shelley with her wedding?
Not to mention you just shelled out $60,000 to Butch Bowers to help get, within a year or so of, Buster got kicked out second semester 2019. So within, the next year.
Oh, so, yeah.
We just shelled out paying $60,000. That's just what I've read thus far. So who knows? I don't know how many times he had to pay, or if it was slightly more than $60,000. But there's $60,000 to get dealing with trying to get his other child back readmitted to the law school at South Carolina.
Exactly. He uses money to buy people. He didn't offer to pay for Shelley's wedding because he's a nice guy. Although on the surface to her, that's probably what she thought about it. But I promise you, she sat back and she's thought about it. And she knows why he offered her that money.
I think that's what breaks their heart even more. Is that
I think so too.
They're looking at it as in, I can't believe, like, I genuinely cared for this. And I am literally heartbroken by, it was all
what
just an
you did.
abstract. It's all
Exactly.
abstract.
Yeah, exactly. That's, but if you look at the Murdaugh, that family, that's what their MO was. Randy is always the first on any scene, every scene. And he's the fixer.
Oh,
he's like the wolf
oldest, correct?
He's like, he's like the wolf in Pulp Fiction. That's who he is.
Wait, no, Lynn's the oldest, but Randy's the oldest son. It goes Lynn, Randy, Alec, John Marvin.
But let's be real, who was really in charge? Was it Lynn or was it Randy?
Yeah, because nobody was calling Lynn when at the boat accident. Nobody called Lynn, or Lynn was on. She's not. I haven't seen her name come up in the Stephen Smith investigation at all. Randy's does. In fact, every time there's a crisis, Randy is one of the first people to arrive.
Yes, he got the boat. Yeah, I still love Connor Cook's attorney going. I mean, I thought DNR had a lot of boats, so I figured they had a lot of trailers. But I guess, like, they get the boat, like the way he's sitting there talking, and I was like, you're the epitome. You look like you could be in Savannah, Georgia. Yeah, like literally that. The low country, eastern states that draw. He could be in New Orleans or South Carolina. But I love that he's at the trial and I thought I saw him in the gallery and I was kind of like, no, but he is because he did an interview with was it News Nation or one of them?
It was Law Crime with Gigi.
Yes, he was a panel guest.
Yes, and he was like, of course I'm obviously there. I didn't realize he was also a professor, but he was like, of course I'm there. This case has freaking everything.
Yeah.
I still want him. I want him to test. He's another one I would put on a team behind me.
Yeah.
Do you know who I actually liked as well, which was weird? I liked Mark Forge. I liked
a lot of people did.
The real one?
The real Forge.
The real
Mark
Forge.
Gunn.
Mark Gunn. Yes. Forge Consulting. Yes. LLC. Not Forge.
The fake Forge.
The fake Forge. Which, by the way, I played that for my husband the other day because he's in the money aspect of things. And so I was like, get this. Just listen to Jeanne.
You're going to love Jeanne.
$300,000. No, we covered it because Alex stole it. Because Alex stole it.
Because he stole it. Because he stole it. She's my favorite.
I love her.
But then who also kind of pleasantly surprised me out of because he was just so nice and he kind of reminded me of like what's his name from like Mama's Family, and it was on Carol Burnett's show. What's that?
Oh, yeah.
Harvey Korman?
Well, no, not Harvey. His sidekick. Oh my gosh. Don Rickles. No, not Don Rickles.
Tim Conway.
Tim Conway. Thank you.
I'm yelling for you, Tim Conway.
Oh my God, that was going to drive me nuts. I'm so sorry, but but when Crosby, so when little Crosby got up from the law firm,
God love him.
That little bit of a vibe, but I liked him because I have to admit when he was confronted with the information or something, she was like, it's like the firm stealing money. And he was like, the fuck we are. Like,
exactly. That's when I liked it. He didn't want to say it, but he was liberated when he said, oh, fuck no, we're not doing that.
He was like, the hell we are. Like, what are you talking about? Then I was like, I like him. Like, I think he was one that was, he was like, he's out. I think he wanted him. I think he knew that day, or like, I think once he and Jeannie, apparently, because didn't she say it was only she and Crosby had confronted him up until that point, right? Or like before the September 4th thing happened. It was initially Crosby and Jeannie that had said something to him. You know, I mean, you know that they were not going to let that. He knew then they are not going to let it go, and that they were going to find out.
Exactly.
And you knew damn well that those two are also like, we have to cover our butts like you wouldn't, like for the firm itself. Like I do hate that for. I think the firm is going to be fine. It's already renamed, you know, whatever. But
yeah,
I'm just saying, like, I would too. Like I would go in because you are talking about you're putting the whole firm at risk, the entire firm at risk, because they went on the trust system, because they went on the brotherhood in the trust system. That certain things
he screwed over his own brother.
Yeah.
No fucks were given with this guy. None.
And then his brothers loan him the money.
Yes.
They loan him the money. Chris Wilson.
Listen, girls, I don't want to cut it short, but I'm tired. I got to get off of here.
No, we got to.
Oh, God,
Thank you so much for being here yet again and really helping us out with everything. I appreciate it so much.
No, you helped me.
But what I wanted to say is Jen Lou does do it's pretty daily. You do it daily, right?
Yeah, I try.
She does a daily recap and it's amazing. So please go to her channel. It'll be
typically around 9 o'clock.
Right
I think Jen Lou typically does too, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
9 p.m. daily. There's her channel. Please go subscribe, like all her videos, go in and like them, leave a comment. It's very important you leave that comment. But it must be a nice comment, by the way.
Even if it's not, I never get upset. I never delete anybody's negative comments, and I don't comment back negatively.
Yeah,
I just give it a heart and keep it moving.
you just have a way of making things interesting and educating us, and I appreciate it very much. I kept quiet because I was so enthralled in UNLFT. I love it. I'm going to go back and take my notes again.
I'm going to do something that's kind of like a faux pop, I guess YouTube faux pop. But I was going to say, since Jen, I was thinking about what you said earlier about thinking about the testimonies given and how they conflict with or need to be noted alongside of the digital evidence. If you ever are bored or something and want to kind of walk through the timeline and then help go through and be like, oh, remember, let's flag.
Absolutely.
Said them sometime I don't mind working on that part. And Tia, I will drag her along with me to work on that part too. But
good.
I just wanted to say if
absolutely no, I would love to.
Tia, what do you think? Since Tia's great, playing a party before talking to me about it.
Right, I'm voluntold.
No, I always listen. This is her channel. I'm here for decoration. Let's just be real. She's the boss. I'm always down for working with. I mean, I think we tried to prove that tonight. We're down for working with the true crime community.
No, you guys are.
To help. And we want to give information. We want to give solid information. And that was one of the things that I wanted to just touch on really quick before you jumped off was that I do hopefully want to have some kind of a quick Zoom phone call or a phone call with you.
Yeah.
So
you
that
guys know how to get a hold of me. Absolutely.
So that we can kind of narrow down, because I think what you have in mind is very cool. And I think to put it out as a community would be even cooler.
I do too. I love to do collaborations. Thank you, girls, for having me up tonight. This was a great convo.
Thank you so much for being
here. I really
here.
appreciate it. And thank y'all all. And anyone, I know Brett and Mallory were here earlier. And thank y'all all for coming. And please go check out their channel as well. Don't make sure to.
Yes, we're going to link everyone's channel in here. But at this moment, when you leave here, go to Jeanne Lou first, okay? Then I think we ran over and Brittany might be live.
I think
so
she is.
Run over there.
Yeah. Let's all go over to Brittany's.
I apologize for running late and keeping you guys. I appreciate you guys staying here, but everybody go to Brittany's and hang out over there. Show her some love. Go to your favorite creator, whoever that may be, like, subscribe, and leave a comment on their videos. And thank you for being here with us tonight.
Yes. Thank you all so much. And thanks to all of our mods and everyone that was here and chatting.
You guys are the best. Thank you, Jen Lou. We will cut with you soon,
you.
Madam.
All right.
Y'all have a
bye.
good night.
You guys. Bye.
All right. Bye.